thin, rotting alive arms and legs. The woman who was dying right in front of the protagonist was her mother. Mom told Serena she was sorry. The girl was crying. Mom said that paper she gave her. Serena said she had that paper, the main character's daughter, to whom she gave the gift of life. Her mom told her she had to leave right away when she died. Also, the main character was a daughter born to a woman for the second time. The woman asked of Serena to answer her. Also, the mom was telling the little girl that she loved her. It was painful for the protagonist to watch. It was as if her heart was slowly freezing. And Serena couldn't believe that this chilling woman was really her mother. In the main character's memories, her mother always shone with beauty and health. And when she beckoned with her velvet voice for a hug, all fears faded away. The main character's mommy, who was only worried about Serena until the very end. And she still remembers her first birth. As my mom looked at her dying of a terrible disease, her eyes were filled with tears and despair. The main character thought it was the end. But later, when Serena was back in her mom's arms, and she wondered if her mom could find the words to convey her feelings. The mom welcomed her daughter Serena and said she was her mother. The main character was happy to see her beloved and sweet mommy. She whispered words of love in her ear every time and nurtured her, put her whole soul into it for 7 years. However, she seemed lonely at times, and Serena supposed she was thinking of her when she was her first daughter. And now Serena feels the same fear for her mom, who will be alone forever. Because Serena's staying here, being the first as well as second daughter, Serena is very thankful that she was the one to be her mom twice, because mom's really hers. The spell paper Serena had been handed by her mom pointed her north. She didn't know how long she'd been wandering, and Serena had no way of knowing where that paper was leading her. The main character's mom was a sorceress, so they had to search for a long time for a place where they could be safe. They were in hiding and on the run. Serena really wished it would lead her to her mom. It wasn't clear if anyone had discovered it, and whether her mommy sleeps well. She kept wondering if her mommy was still lying there. Serena thought back to her mom, and she was in a lot of pain. The little girl was crying and calling for her mom. Serena didn't know where to go. Now she has nowhere to go back to. The man asked if she was awake. He asked the little girl not to be afraid. The man thought she was lost in the woods, so he decided to take her to the settlement. He asked Serena if she minded if they went to the doctor's office and looked for a place to stay. Mom told Serena not to trust the kindness of strangers. The little girl was silent, but still said she had no money to go to the doctor. The stranger said that in that case they would come to his familiar doctor and she wouldn't have to worry about money. Serena said her mom had assured her that if she went with a stranger, she could get in trouble. The man remarked that she has a wonderful mom. However, the man hopes the little girl will trust him, because he doesn't want anyone to die again today. He indicated that he would bring the child to her mother after the doctor had treated her. It was very windy and cold there, so the master asked the child to take shelter. Serena felt the same warmth that came from her mom. Upon waking up, the protagonist saw hair that looked like hers. She couldn't believe she'd been exposed. Pink hair is rare. Mom told Serena that she had to be careful that people didn't notice what color her hair was. That's why my mom said she might be sold. Unless, of course, Serena falls into the hands of the wrong people. The little girl grabbed the man's head. She said he was wrong and she didn't have pink hair, so he doesn't have to take her. The man asked her to calm down because she had nothing to fear and asked her to look at him. The man asked the little girl if her mom's name was Ariel. The man was overjoyed that he had finally found her. He started hugging Serena. He told the little girl she had to go with him. Serena asked him to wait and asked if he knew her. The man calmly replied that yes, he did. But Serena didn't realize who he was and asked. The stranger informed her that his name was Edwin Lavashin and he was her father. He hugged the girl. Edwin turned to Serena and said that she had no idea how long he'd been looking for her, and Serena has no idea what his thoughts were. However, now Edwin is truly happy. The protagonist didn't realize if this man was really her father. He said he would explain everything to her later in great detail. And one thing Serena needs to know is that he really is her father. Edwin knew it was hard for her to accept everything so immediately. However, he asks her to take his word for it, and at their leisure, they'll talk about everything and get to know each other better. When Serena met her father, she wanted to shower him with accusations and ask him why he was only showing up now. But Serena didn't have the guts for it, since it felt like he could barely breathe, and she was very curious as to what exactly had brought him so much pain, and if he suffered as much as Serena did. The girl said she believed him. He thanked the little girl. The protagonist wanted to know what kind of person he was. Edwin said it was still freezing, so she should take shelter. Serena felt kind of awkward being around someone she had just met. It was strange. Every time this man stroked Serena, she got goosebumps. She suggested it might be because she'd never met anyone else but her mom. Mom only took Serena with her to crowded places and shut her out from the outside world. Serena wanted to ask her mom why, but Mom just asked the little girl to sit in one place for a while. Serena couldn't ask her mom anything about it, as she was trying very hard to protect her. Mom apologized at the little girl for leaving her. That's how Mom raised Serena alone. The little girl started screaming about how her mom was still in that house. Serena said her mom was there alone and shouldn't worry, because he took her to a place where she could rest in peace. And later, Edwin will take Serena to her. The little girl decided that he said those words about how he wouldn't survive if anyone else died meant her mom's death. The little girl asked since when had he been looking for them. Edwin said that since they disappeared. The man said he was looking everywhere, so now it's hard for him to find a place he hasn't been. Finally, he got to the place, but Serena wasn't there, and all Edwin found was Ariel's icy body. Edwin took his beloved in his arms and begged for her to wake up. He couldn't think of anything at that moment. When I came to my senses, I found a piece of paper with her. It was a paper with a spell cast on it, and then Edwin set off in the direction indicated on the paper, thinking that this was his last chance to find his daughter. Before Edwin entered the forest, however, the paper was carried away from his hands by the wind. Now Serena was already realizing that he was deep in the woods. Serena supposed he was really scared to be alone. Edwin promised that he would talk about everything in detail when they got home. There were many stories he wanted to tell her. He thought the story of his and his mom's life would be of interest to her, in a world where only the two of them existed. Their story is about how people loved and supported each other day in and day out. The man asked Edwin something about the baby. He only said it was a princess, and they were going to the palace. Serena was in complete shock. Edwin asked what was wrong and wondered if she had hurt herself anywhere. "The little one repeated, Your Majesty." Edwin said that Serena must be surprised, but she didn't have to call him that. And he thinks it would be better if she called him Daddy. And if it's hard for Serena for now, he won't rush her. Also, Serena needs a drink of water for the hiccups. The protagonist couldn't understand what His Majesty meant. And then it came to Serena that her father was the emperor ruling the country. Serena remembered her mother saying that the emperor had 3 terrifying sons. Besides, as far as Serena knew, the empress had died a few years ago. Serena assumed her mom was a concubine, a commoner who gained the emperor's favor. But her mom wasn't a commoner. Memories are vague, but Serena is certain that Ariel was not a commoner when she was first born. And now Serena didn't understand why her mom had run away when she carried her under her heart. She assumed it was because her fathers from her past life and her current one are different people. There's so much Serena doesn't know, and she doesn't know for sure if nothing will happen to her. If Serena's mother is not a concubine, then Serena is an illegitimate child. The girl thought she might be hated for it, because she's the one who dared to invade the imperial palace. Edwin picked up on his daughter's fever. The protagonist didn't know what to do because the mere thought made her shiver. Serena had no idea if she could get along with her brothers. But Serena has nowhere else to go, and the little one will be content with little, happy that she can at least live. So Serena is really begging not to be kicked out. A man entered the carriage and asked if this child was the one. Edwin reported that this was the case. Serena didn't realize who was there, because she heard someone's unfamiliar voice. He said he hadn't prepared a personal palace for Serena yet, so the girl will live with him in the palace of the sun for a while. The man was in agreement, but the girl should have been about 7 years old by now, and he didn't understand why the baby had such a tiny body, and it felt like it could fly away with a slight breeze. Serena was surprised at how small she looked. Her mom lovingly told the little girl to grow slowly, like a young tree being watered day by day. Thanks to her endless love, Serena was bathed in the rays of happiness. Edwin thought he would need to meet with the imperial healer and the head of the kitchen upon arrival. And now Serena can sleep well, because she's with her daddy, and has to worry about nothing. Serena didn't understand why she had flowers on her head. It was also the time she and her mom went to see the blooming spring flowers. Mom really loved the ones that were similar to the shade of the baby girl's hair. In the summer, they would fan each other to escape the heat. And in the fall, while collecting fallen leaves, they tried to bake yams, which ended up almost ending in a fire. In the winter, Serena, who had no friends, was skillfully made buddies out of snow by her mother. Precious memories that she can now only see in dreams. Serena was Mom's favorite daughter. Mom knew Serena would be hurt and sad without her. But she'll never be alone. And Serena mustn't forget that there are people in this world who cherish her and love her. The girl didn't believe that someone could love her as much as her mom did. Dad noticed that apparently Serena was awake. He said the baby could have slept a little longer. The man turned to his father and said he had scared her. But Edwin said Serena was puzzled about him. He told him to look at the way the child looked at him time and time again. When Serena looked in the guy's direction, she saw an absolute mini copy of her father. That young man has the same eyes and pink hair. The girl didn't know what to do because she hadn't fully prepared herself yet. Serena didn't know how to act around a man she was seeing for the first time. Edwin told Serena to meet him. He introduced her to the crown prince of the empire and her oldest brother. Serena was very surprised at that. The little girl didn't know what to do if their gazes crossed. They finally met. Serena didn't know what to do because he was getting really angry. Serena's only request was that she not be thrown from the carriage. The kid said it was nice to meet you, and mentioned that as he knew, the little girl's name was Serena. The crown prince said his name was Theo Ursel Levashin, and he would be her older brother. And noticed that family members just call him Theo. The girl figured he didn't give the appearance that he didn't like her because her father was around. Theo said that he would be happy for the little girl to address him as well. Such a radiant smile, as if the sun had come down from heaven. He looked like a prince from a fairy tale. Serena got the feeling he didn't like her, and she was beginning to wonder if her assumption might be false. Theo noticed that their precious little girl was hiccuping, and so he ordered her to get some water immediately. Serena decided that he was treating her extremely kindly to begin with and thought she was right. Theo asked if everything was all right. Edwin said slowly, drinking. Nevertheless, Serena feels very burdened. Serena noticed Theo's hair shimmering like gems, and such a majestic man is her brother. Compared to him, Serena. Theo took a strand of his sister's hair and remarked that the color was just adorable. The emperor noticed that her hair shade was gentler than theirs, and it felt as if spring had bloomed on their little girl's head. Serena is ready to fall to the ground in embarrassment, and she'd rather want to be thrown from the carriage. They asked Serena if she knew she had 2 other brothers with a similar shade of hair. The guys were in a hurry because they thought the emperor should have arrived by now. They shouldn't have made that child wait for them. Father said the brothers were looking forward to seeing each other, and it won't be long before Serena can see them. The girl was surprised that they were actually waiting for her. Just the thought makes the little girl shiver with fear. The emperor, crown prince, and princess were welcomed. The little girl saw the imperial palace for the first time. In the distance stood 2 people with pink hair. Serena decided that these 2 were her older brothers. The eyes of one were like violets, and she saw like a fairy in front of her. And the other brother's hair is so disheveled and wavy, like he's a kitten. Her father introduced Serena to her second oldest brother, Lorraine. And then there's big brother Trail. Lorraine said the baby girl's name is as beautiful as she is. He introduced himself and said she could address him simply as Rain. And Trail said she could call him Brother Trail. Everyone was excited about the baby girl's arrival, and so she decided she should be brave too. The little girl did say her name was Serena after all. Rain couldn't believe that such a sweet voice existed. He swept his eyes over the fact that her brother was about to skyrocket with happiness. And Serena's eyes, the color of young sprouts, were beautiful too. His brother said there was definitely not a flaw in his little sister. Serena marveled at the fact that all the members of the imperial family were so beautiful and kind. They were all like angels. The little girl could barely tell that her brother was even prettier. Rain didn't know how to be because even her words were sweet. And then he offered to give his handsome brother a one-time hug. But the emperor quickly withdrew. Theo said that the father was tired to death, and the child was also very tired, so they would go inside and talk after resting first. Serena didn't understand why her brothers kept looking at her. Theo said that even though she was his little sister, she was very nice. Rain remarked She's enchanting. The little girl hoped they had a good first impression of her. Today we had to tell the kitchen manager to cook the top-grade meat. Rain said their little sister needs to put on weight first, although she's still very cute now. Thrail swept up that she only had enough meat for one bite. Serena was startled by this because she thought they were going to eat her, and she figured that was the only reason they had been so polite to her the first time they met. The girl decided that she should be as quiet as possible from now on. Serena decided that she would sit there without moving or being distracted by anything. One of the chairs looked very comfortable. It seemed to Serena that if one positioned oneself on it, it would feel like one was sitting on a cloud. The little girl didn't understand why everyone was only looking at her, and so Serena assumed she had made some kind of mistake. Trail asked the little girl if she thought the chair was unusual. The little girl said it looked comfortable. He said she could sit down if she wanted to. The Emperor told Serena that everything was fine and she could come through and sit down. The baby tried the chair. It was very nice and soft. Serena didn't know what to do because she had unknowingly shown too much interest. Theo remarked that apparently the little girl liked the chair. The Crown Prince said he would pick out an even bigger and softer one and send it to the little girl's palace. The other brothers were telling Theo not to pull ahead. Trail said he would send Serena the softest and biggest bed he could find. Theo said he'd send a doll as well, and Trail said again that he'd set up a playroom for the baby girl. And that room will be padded with mattresses so Serena can frolic as much as she wants. Theo said he's the whole palace. Trail asked how much longer the brother would continue. Serena said she was grateful and pointed out that her mom said to say thank you when someone does something for her. So basically she's not asking for something from them, and Serena just wants to say thank you. The little girl told them thank you very much. Theo asked Serena what she would want her baby brother to do. He couldn't even imagine that when he had a little sister, he would feel this way. Trail remarked that they were cute. The man didn't understand why the imperial healer was so late. The servant apologized because it was presumptuous of him to say such a thing to him, but he asks the Emperor to wait. The Emperor told him to try again to tell him to wait. The little girl understood that a healer was the same as a doctor and didn't understand why he was called. The healer arrived and the Emperor allowed him to enter. The man saluted the son of the empire. The ruler said to leave the greetings and check on the princess's health. The man took a seat next to Serena and asked the princess if she minded if he asked her a few questions and implied that he didn't need to be afraid, just answer honestly. The doctor asked what the little girl usually ate. Serena started listing mashed potatoes, vegetables, and sometimes she ate red fruit, which ripen in the fall, and also the bread her mom bought and some meat. The man asked how many meals she had. Serena added that she has had days where she has only eaten once. They ate twice, too. The healer said she's not saying it's anything serious. The healer remarked that she must have often suffered from frostbite and had pain in the toe area. For the first time, she will need to take the medication he prescribes and keep her feet and hands warm. He said that the princess was growing slower than her peers, but that was only because she was consuming less food per day than the ration required. Rain asked if she was scared. The Emperor ordered him to make him a list of food, things and medicines needed by the princess. The healer understood. Edwin asked Serena if she was surprised much, and the implication was that he wanted to check on her well-being. And thankfully, she doesn't have any health problems. Serena thought about how he didn't have to care about little things like that. She wouldn't want him to look at her with such tenderness and say warm words. Because every time he acts like this, she feels the absence of her mom even more clearly. The little girl didn't even realize she had fallen asleep. The maid was glad she was already awake. Serena was grateful for her concern. The woman said she didn't have to talk to her respectfully, and the princess can refer to her simply as you. But the girl said her mom taught her that she should speak respectfully to adults. The maid remarked that her mother was a wonderful person, but still her status was lower than that of a princess. That's why Serena shouldn't address her as you. The girl didn't know how to answer because she had never talked to people before. The maid reported that she was already finished. The maid asked mistress if she liked it. The other maids thought it was a fine job and their fingers were already raised to the top. In their eyes, Serena looked simply enchanting. One of the women said that when the princess grew up, she would be the most beautiful in the empire. The little girl interjected. And they said she would become the most brilliant and beautiful lady of the empire, no doubt about it. A maid came and informed her that the emperor and the princes were expecting her for a meal. Serena was cozy and warm. She didn't know if she could safely enjoy life in a place like this without her mom. She didn't understand how she could even be alone. The day her mom left Serena felt like the world was ending. She was afraid she would be cold and scared all alone. But by meeting her father in that moment, Serena had suddenly broken free from the shackles of permafrost to an unfamiliar place full of bright light and joy. It is a warm and cozy feeling, similar to the embrace of a mother who protects her. It felt like she'd known them for a long time. The brothers were inviting Serena to come inside sooner rather than later. They were telling her to eat more. Rain looked at her and admired her because she was very cute. Rain said that if she ate too much, she would get sick, so she should eat in moderation. Serena didn't even know what device to use. The emperor told the little girl to taste each dish. Everything was delicious. My brother used to say that if Serena wanted to eat something, she should speak up, because her third sibling will put it on her plate. And then the little girl's face changed. The brothers didn't realize what had happened. Trail asked if she was in pain. The emperor noticed that she had only touched her food a couple times, and she was already feeling sick. He ordered the doctor and the kitchen manager to be called immediately. Edwin didn't understand who dared to hurt his daughter. Serena said no, and she just wanted to say thank you. Serena told him thank you very much. Dad said Serena thanks too much for the little things, and said that in that case, he should thank and apologize too. The emperor said that she alone had to face so many difficulties, waiting for his neglectful father to arrive, and he's grateful to Serena for surviving. And at the same time, he apologized for not being able to protect her mom. He apologized for her father coming in too late. Serena knows that feeling of helplessness when nothing can be done. But still, her dad didn't give up and kept looking for them. The moment my father spoke those words of apology, his gaze was filled with sadness and loneliness. Serena wasn't the only one grieving over her mom's death. The little girl's tears flowed. All the brothers immediately jumped up. They started hugging their baby sister. The girl missed her mom very much. The emperor could not utter a word at the sight of his sobbing daughter, because he knew the reason for her tears. Theo asked his father if everything was all right. Edwin said everything was fine. At least he was able to find Serena. And then the son asked where that woman lived. The crown prince told his father that he was not the little child he was then, and he has a right to know too. My father said she lived in a miserable shack, and he added that she had left a letter. Now the curse hanging over Serena has been broken. Therefore, they are only obliged to do one thing. It's to protect Serena so something like this never happens again. Serena was Theo's favorite little sister. It was a child whose eyes encapsulated the green of the sunlit forest, but a child who was supposed to be receiving everyone's love, not used to socializing with people. What they consider quite natural for a toddler is just the opposite. A child who knows nothing and had to deal with so much adversity alone. Theo wondered if his father was going to tell Serena about everything. The emperor said yes, but not now, and Theo added that when she was stronger both physically and mentally, then he would again. Serena's not alone now. In the meantime, Theo will wipe out anything that can harm this child. Serena had the same dream again where her mom was asking her to wake up. Serena's memories from her past life when she was first born as daughter Ariel. Mom's hurt. She'd told her mom she wasn't allowed to use magic in her condition. The little girl didn't know what the place was, but there was someone else there besides them. She had no idea who the man was. Serena decided that she had this dream because she was pining for her mom. She was very curious about who the man was and thought she had seen him somewhere. His face reflected such pain as if he was the one who had been injured. She needed to wash her face first and then reflect on it again. Rain burst into the room and wished his little sister a good morning. He wondered if the baby had slept well. She didn't want to answer anything because she was born a second daughter. Rain walked over to the little girl and asked if she was okay. He ordered the imperial physician to be summoned immediately. He apologized to Serena and told her that her brother was the ultimate idiot. Rain asked her not to worry because she was just a little bleeding from her nose. My brother looks like he's 100 times worse off than she is. Rain said everything was fine and the healer would be here soon. Someone burst into the room. It was the emperor. He asked what had happened. Rain said he swung the door open too hard and accidentally hit Serena. He asked Lorraine if he dared to carelessly open the door. The baby asked to hear it. Rain apologized, and the little girl said it wasn't her brother's fault what happened. Serena said she was thinking about it too and didn't notice, and asked in general not to berate Lorraine. Her brother asked her if he was worried about her. The little girl said yes. She had already lost count of the number of times the imperial healer they had summoned had repeated that she was fine. The emperor asked if the little girl had any other injuries besides the bleeding. Rain said that his father had said that Serena's eyes looked a little strange. The healer said her eyes were a little puffy since Serena had recently woken up. And once all the questioning was over, Serena was finally able to have breakfast with her family. That was the reason they were late for breakfast. Theo asked if he wanted to say that Serena had managed to hurt herself early in the morning. Rain told Theo that it had happened because he had opened the door and had no idea about Serena standing behind it. Theo said he expected something like that from Trail, but not from Lorraine, and he made every mistake possible. Trail didn't understand why him right away. Nevertheless, his father ordered him to tear down all the doors so that such a thing would not happen again. Serena was shocked that it was true. Theo told his sister to eat vegetables. The emperor has tweaked that medium-sized doors will be installed, and from now on, it won't be hard for the baby to open them. Serena asked if they were doing it because of her, but Edwin said he just didn't like the design. The little girl knew it was a lie. He pays attention to even these little things for his daughter's sake. Her father said her little brother cut the meat for her. Theo asked, chewing it thoroughly. The protagonist has heard that children born out of wedlock are not loved, but didn't know if it would be okay for her to get so much care and love because she needs to give something in return. Trail asked Serena what her favorite color was. The little girl interjected. They ordered the room and, in general, the whole palace to be furnished in this color down to flowers of a similar shade in the garden. Serena said her favorite color is pink. Theo said he loves that color too. Rain decided to keep up too and remarked that he likes pink too. Serena was a marvel. Rain told her that there were many beautiful flowers blooming behind the imperial palace, so he wondered if she wanted to look at them. Trail told Serena that he wanted one too. Dad said they'd see each other at dinner, and Theo had made the comment that he'd like to go on a walk with Serena next time too. His brother took the younger Trail with him, telling him to stop talking already, but Trail didn't understand and didn't want to, so he got out. Trail said he'd be sure to rush over to her after practice and apologized for the coincidence. Rain wished that Trail would just leave already. Lorraine put his hand in Serena's and asked if they were going to go. He swept up to accompany her to the garden. Lorraine was like a prince from a fairy tale. Serena asked her brother if spring had sprung here. The guy asked the little girl if she knew what magic was. He was just a sweetheart. The girl said she knew what it was. The reason the body is here is precisely because of her. A magic spell is cast on the garden to keep the air warm. This was so that all these flowers could please the eye with their beautiful blooms. Serena asked if it turns out that this spring was created by magic. Lorraine said it's fashionable to say so. He remarked that Serena really did look a lot like her mother. The little girl began to snuggle up to her brother. The prince was immediately startled and thought she was either in pain or nauseous. He told her to talk faster if she was feeling any discomfort. The little girl asked her brother why he was so thoughtful towards him. Lorraine said it was because she was his little sister. Serena said she was a bastard child after all. Lorraine didn't understand where she got such thoughts in her head. He realized that she had been pondering this alone all this time. Rain didn't understand where she'd heard those words, but it wasn't like that at all. That surprised Serena. Rain told the little girl she wasn't a bastard child. Serena interjected. Rain said that her mother was an empress, so she had the purest blood of the imperial family flowing in her veins. And Serena is Theo and Trail's own sister. Conversely, Lorraine is an illegitimate offspring. Serena was in complete shock. Because it's not her, it's Lorraine's bastard child, and without knowing it. Serena asked that he tell more because she had absolutely no idea what had happened. Rain said that was all he could see her doing, but he apologized and said he was really sorry, and her father will tell her soon enough. Because to her great shame, she has no right to narrate anything, since he was the reason she was facing so much hardship. Mom was an empress, and Serena is a princess, not an illegitimate child. She would like to ask a few more questions, but Lorraine looks too sad. Serena said she would wait, so he shouldn't worry, and apologized. Suddenly, they heard a loud call. Rain swept up to see that her baby bear brother had arrived. Trail reported that Serena's cute third sibling is here. He swept up, coming quickly. Trail asked if she'd give him a one-time hug for trying so hard to finish his workout quickly. The babe hesitated, and Trail thought he smelled like sweat, so he apologized for being in such a hurry and not having time to wash up. But Serena said there was no odor of sweat and offered him a hug, extending her arms toward Trail. The guy agreed with a smile. The trail gives off the scent of fresh wind. The boy asked Lorraine if Serena was really hugging him. Rain said that's exactly what it was. The prince hoped very much that it wasn't a dream. Rain said it wasn't a dream and remarked that finally his training with the dolls had paid off. Serena wanted it to stop because she was about to burn with embarrassment. Trail apologized and said she was very nice and that's why he couldn't help himself and wouldn't do it again. The girl asked what it was. Lorraine reported that this is the video sphere. Having captured some moment on it, a person can watch it again at any time. The little girl asked if it was magic too. Rain said that's absolutely correct. Serena asked if Rain was a wizard like her mom. Lorraine said it's fashionable to say so. The brother turns out to be a magician, and that's awesome. Trail asked Serena if she knew that although he wasn't a wizard, he was a very powerful knight, and a commander of a knightly order. Babe said she knew, and Rain asked as Serena looked the other way. Trail asked as he looked at her as well. Serena told her brother that he's awesome too, and there was a bit of a commotion during dinner that day. The emperor wished him a pleasant appetite. The little girl was very grateful. Theo asked if she liked it. Serena said the meat just melts in your mouth. Theo remarked that this was a great relief, and the head of the kitchen would be happy to hear it. Trail turned to Theo and wanted to say something, but Theo was busy slicing meat for Serena. Theo tells him to save his useless chatter for later because he's cutting the meat into bite-sized pieces for Serena. Trail said that today Serena was calling him brother. The emperor and Theo were shocked. Serena didn't understand why there was suddenly such an atmosphere. She thought she wasn't allowed to use the word brother. The protagonist realized that she was probably about to be scolded for calling Trail a brother. Theo said that he would like Serena to call him brother too. Theo asked for it. The emperor told Serena that it must be hard for her to say father, so he advised her to use the word dad because it sounds softer. Serena interjected if she could really address them that way. Rain said that he almost forgot about the video sphere that Serena was on. The protagonist knew roughly that this was the moment when she was in the garden with her brothers. Trail asked Lorraine to give him this video sphere. Rain didn't understand why he would give it to Trail. My brother said he was pictured on it too, and he had a right to it. Lorraine asked why he couldn't prove that he was the one on the sphere. Trail said he could see his curly hair there. Rain said that he wasn't the only one with pink hair in the imperial palace. Serena called out to her brother. She was entitled to it too. The emperor turned to Lorraine and said that he thought they had much to talk about and told him to speak if there was something he wanted. Theo said that he was willing to honor the request that Lorraine had made of him last time. Rain rejoiced. They agreed to see each other in the office. When the situation was resolved, everyone was in great spirits, with the exception of Trail. Theo said he'd been told about Rain's conversation with Serena in the garden. Serena assumed it must be Trail's doing. The emperor told Lorraine never to speak again of anything to which he had no right. Theo said that his father is correct, and Lorraine is also his little brother, and he needs to know that if something like this happens again, he will get caught up. Even with all that said, Lorraine can't just give them the video of Serena. A man ran up and asked what was wrong with Theo and Rain. Theo said Raina called him brother. Serena was asked if she liked the food that was served for dinner tonight. The little one said that, yes, and it was delicious. Words recounted by maids who visited the study after dinner. My father said he was counting on the Rhine from now on. Lorraine said he then expects a decent payment for his efforts. Theo said you can take it easy because it's a lifetime contract. Theo questioned the maids to see if they had noticed any inconvenience to the princess. Theo said that he thought it was awkward for Serena to ask them in person, so the maids should answer all of her questions. The atmosphere was so heavy, it was short of breath. The maids would tell the little girl that, for what it's worth, they thought she was loved in this house. It was the purest truth. It was past bedtime. And if we talk about the changes in the daily life of the main character, from today, she sleeps together with her father. Her father was worried about the little girl not being able to fall asleep safely in such a huge room. He doesn't want to leave Serena alone in the room, so he sleeps with her. Serena didn't realize if it was possible to refuse a man who was asking for something with such desperation in his head. She couldn't. At that moment, the brothers had a great change in their faces. The little girl couldn't believe it was really her daddy. Edwin told the little girl that she must be very tired, but Serena denied it. And it seemed to her father that her eyes were slipping from fatigue. Serena said that's not the point. He was wearing such thin clothes that he could easily catch cold. Nevertheless, it was getting late, so they go to bed. The father said goodnight to the little girl, and they started falling asleep together. The man asked the woman to calm down because he knows it too. The girl said she couldn't calm down when their child was about to be killed. He told the Empress that he would solve the problem and keep their little one from dying. He assured her that he would find a way to dispel the curse, so he asks her not to cry. The main character was shocked because she thought she died because of an illness, and here we're talking about a curse. Ariel didn't understand what this child had done. The Empress wanted it better to be cursed instead of her. The Emperor asked Ariel to trust him. He kissed her. He promised that he would definitely protect her and the children. And then the protagonist's dream began to end. She wanted to watch some more, but she woke up. Serena didn't realize what it was because the events are different from what she remembers. The little girl didn't understand what Mommy and Daddy were talking about in her dream. The Emperor noticed that she was awake very early and suggested that she sleep a little longer. Serena said she got a good night's sleep. Dad thought this was odd and remarked that he had heard that long naps were good for growth. He was surprised from the fact that she didn't like to sleep long. One glance at her father made Serena's entire dream fade away. It's more dazzling than the morning sun. Edwin remarked that apparently girls are different from boys. The little girl wanted Daddy to put the clothes on first. Theo swept up to see his father come in. They got ready to go. Theo asked Serena if she was uncomfortable with the change of scenery. The baby said she had a good sleep with her daddy and asked how her brother slept at the same time. The Crown Prince said he got a good night's sleep too, and Edwin asked that Serena call him Daddy. Lorraine and Trail greeted their father, older brother, and princess. The little girl said hello to her brothers. The Emperor's implication was that he'd like to hold her in his arms all day, but maybe she's uncomfortable. Every second spent with Sergei is precious to him, so he doesn't want to move even a millimeter away. As he looks at her with that look on his face, the girl is completely unsure how she should react. Serena, you said she was quite comfortable and they proceeded to eat. Edwin was always saying something to the little girl, and it was really stressing the brothers out. The girl didn't understand why the brothers were acting this way and assumed they had no appetite. Thus came the end of a cozy yet uncomfortable breakfast. The father didn't notice his brother's stares, or simply ignored it as an emperor should. Suddenly, Serena was grabbed in her arms by Lorraine's little brother. He asked if she was out for a walk and if he was disturbing her. The girl offered to take him for a walk together. Lorraine turned to the little girl and asked if she was comfortable sitting at her father's reindeer. This question confused Serena. Bro said he just wanted to know if she was comfortable eating in that position. Serena suggested that maybe her brother would like to sit on her father's lap too. Serena replied that it was convenient, and then Rain said that maybe she'd be even more comfortable in his lap, because he has softer feet than his father. So at the next meal, he offers her to sit on her brother's lap. Lorraine asked Serena what she thought about it. The protagonist remarks that apparently all members of the imperial family know how to use that facial expression. That day, at dinner, she had to endure those intimidating looks. It was like déjà vu. Serena was in a lot of pain. She was scared and agonized. Each time the dreams of her past life become clearer. The main character had no idea that her mom and dad were having such a hard time because of her. In Serena's memories, she dried up like a mom. But she doesn't know what to do if she's infected her mom with that curse. Serena is troubled by what Lorraine said. If she falls asleep again, she doesn't know if she can still see anything from her past. Serena assumed she was having another scary dream. The father asked his daughter if she could fall asleep. He thought she was a pest, and then Serena said she had a question. Dad was all ears. The father asked his daughter if she could fall asleep. He thought she was a pest. And then Serena said she had a question. Dad was all ears. The Emperor didn't even know what words were best to use to describe her. She was Edwin's happiness. He said Serena's mom was strong, beautiful, and always dazzling. And among other things, Ariel was a powerful archmage. Serena interjected. And her father said there was no more outstanding mage in the Empire than her mother. Ariel is a great man. Serena was shocked and remarked that her mom is amazing. She asked Daddy to tell her a little more about Mommy. Serena snickered that he didn't remember much about spending time with his mom in his past life. Edwin interjected. Serena realized she'd blurted out. Dad asked what she had just said. The girl said she didn't say anything. She realized she had revealed her secret. The Emperor asked Serena exactly what he remembered and what his past life was like. Serena didn't know what to do. She realized her father would be very angry. The baby started crying, and Daddy apologized for Daddy scaring her a lot. The protagonist assumed her daddy would hate her now and was sure he was angry. Daddy asked for Serena to stop crying and look at him. The little girl asked her daddy if he would swear if she told everything. Edwin promised he wouldn't. Serena told her father the secret she'd been hiding all this time, about her chaotic memories from her past life, about her mom and dad who were hurting because of her illness, and about how she opened her eyes and became a baby again and met her mom. Her mom was happy to see her and said hello to the baby. Serena apologized to her father for keeping it from him. Edwin couldn't believe it. He had no idea she remembered that time. But that's a past life, the little girl interjected. Her father said now she was not born to them a second time, and her mom, using magic, brought her back to a time when she wasn't cursed yet. Her father said she was his and Ariel's first daughter, and he could even imagine her how scared she'd been while she kept those memories secret. He admitted that he should have sensed what was on Serena's heart sooner, and he also apologizes to her for keeping that fact from her. Dad said we should tell Serena's brothers about it too. The little girl wondered. And Edwin told me that her mom used to say there should be no secrets in the family circle. Ariel told her husband that if he tried to hide anything from her, and then he would die by her hand. He was smiling, and the woman didn't understand who would smile like that when he was being scolded. The Emperor ordered the princes to be summoned to his room immediately. They immediately rushed over and didn't realize what had happened. Rain asked if Serena was okay. Theo asked if his father had mentioned that he had something important to say about Serena's memories. Edwin ordered Trail to keep his voice down. Trail said he hadn't expressed any resentment toward his father, just very surprised, and apologized to Serena. Theo reported that after listening to his father, he seemed to be able to understand why Serena's memory was confused. Edwin savored the fact that 5-year-old Serena must have had some of her memories erased, back when time went backwards. Rain's point was that memory capacity depends on age. Trail didn't know what he meant. Trail told his sister not to worry because he too has no memories of what happened in his life when he was 5 years old. Theo said it was because he was a fool. His father said that now that they had cleared up this nuance, he should tell the whole story to Serena. Edwin wasn't sure he'd be done by dawn and wondered if Serena would be able to hear him out. The little girl agreed. The brothers were ready too. Her father said he should tell her about Lorraine first. He took the hint that Rain must not be pleased to hear about this. Theo took his brother's hand, and Lorraine said that he was perfectly fine, since his family was there for him. His father was grateful to him. The story goes back to when they first met that girl, long before Serena was born. Her name was Ariel. Despite her origins from common folk, she was a wizard with strong magical abilities. And after becoming a mage of the imperial court, she continued to improve herself and earned the title of Archmage. She was a beautiful woman with a kind heart who was always concerned for the safety of people, giving the Emperor invaluable support in the work of unifying the Empire. The Emperor fell in love with her, and he continued to woo without end. He told Ariel that he loved her and asked her to be his wife. But Ariel only replied that the Emperor was mad because she didn't understand how anyone could marry a subordinate commoner. Theo picked up on the fact that knowing his mom's temper, his dad was having a hard time. Edwin admitted that he'd been chasing her for 2 years. The man did not give up and continued to woo, on each time she received only a refusal. The Emperor tried to stop her because he wanted her to listen to him. It wasn't that he didn't understand her feelings, but he was desperate. In his entire life, this was the first time Edwin had met someone he wanted to possess wholeheartedly. He called and called for Ariel. The girl didn't understand why he was calling her. Ariel didn't understand what kind of emperor he was, who couldn't take care of his own body, and she realized that soon he'd be in bed. The Emperor said his appearance disappointed the girl. Ariel said she's a weirdo with a terrible temper and can be harsh in her language. But the Emperor said her character was soft and gentle. Ariel asked if his friend had said she had a bitchy temper. Edwin said that he would summon Archduke Jan to him now, so that he would know what kind of person she was. The girl didn't understand why he was joking around with such a serious expression with no face and didn't even know what to say to her. Edwin said he knows the reason lies in his greed, but Edwin couldn't give up on Ariel because he only wants her. Ariel only told him to try and tell him later that he regretted it, because if he does, he's in trouble. Edwin said he wouldn't mind if she ever scolded him. It was announced that Ariel would be the next empress, to which there was no objection. The people of the empire celebrated the wedding and raised toasts to their union. In those happy moments, their first child, Theo, was born, and exactly 1 year later he and his wife learned of Lorraine's existence. The emperor was busy right now, so he ordered me to come back later. Ariel asked if her darling was busy, but he said he was just moping around out of boredom since he had too much free time on his hands. Edwin asked Ariel what was wrong, because if she called out, he would immediately rush to her. The girl said she wanted to see him and have a little chat. Ariel reported that she is actually worried about what she heard during the tea party. The emperor interjected. The wife said that it was said that the Marquis Perdon had taken an illegitimate child into the house to settle the question of an heir. Edwin interjected to ask if she was talking about her older brother. Marquis Perdon is the emperor's only blood relative in this world. He did not inherit the pink hair of the ruling dynasty, and his personal qualities lagged behind in every way, so he was unable to ascend the throne. Also, the Marquis was a dangerous man with boundless ambition. Emperors heard the news that he tried in every possible way to solve the problem of succession, but for 5 years of marriage, the couple never managed to have a child. Edwin told Ariel that it doesn't matter if he chooses an illegitimate child as his successor, but it's a pity for the child considering the wounds he'll get because of the noble's negative reaction. Ariel said that wasn't the only problem because it was said that that baby had pink hair. The fact that a baby boy with a pink shade of hair was born in the family of the Marquis became a hot topic for discussion in the secular society. An illegitimate child who doesn't belong to the imperial family has pink hair. This alone makes him valuable material for those plotting rebellion. The emperor made a point to meet with his older brother. Ariel said he's still a newborn and hopes he'll be okay. The Marquis of Perdon has arrived to see the governor. The emperor let him in. The man remarked that he hoped His Majesty had been in good health all this time. Edwin said to finish with the greetings and ordered him to sit down. The Marquis inquired as to the reason why the emperor had summoned such an insignificant person as he was. The emperor said he thought the Marquis knew the reason better than he did. The man hesitated and remarked that apparently it was about Lorraine. The man interrogated, and the Marquis replied that it was his child who had recently entered the castle of Perdon. Edwin said it was amusing that he, who despised children born out of wedlock, had enrolled one as his heir. The Marquis remarked that he was far from a youth. Retiring is easier when a receiver is available. The emperor asked if this meant that he had decided to take custody of the illegitimate child as soon as possible to preserve his position. The Marquis remarked that the emperor was very harsh, and he hoped he would get a blessing since he had a son to be his successor. The emperor congratulated him on the birth of Lorraine. However, even if he wishes happiness for this child, yes, it seems unlikely that the wishes will come true. He is also concerned that he is illegitimate. The Marquis was grateful for the concern. The emperor ordered an investigation into the Marquis's correspondence and found out the biological mother and the current state of the Marquis's residence. And he also had to find out what movements the brand had made recently and with whom he kept in close contact. The emperor gives 2 weeks for all this. Lorraine's biological mother is a maid at the residence of the Marquis of Perdon. Once, after spending the night with the Marquis, she became pregnant, and it is presumed that she died of severe bleeding after giving birth. Lately, the Marquis had been corresponding frequently with other nobles. He plans to orchestrate treason using Lorraine. For now, it's just a guess. The emperor has insufficient evidence to take that child under his protection right now. If the opportunity to take Lorraine suddenly arises, Edwin would like him to enter the imperial palace as his son. She realized that he wanted to make him a member of the imperial family. However, he cared about her opinion. My wife was all for it, and she really liked the idea. The emperor was glad she didn't mind, but feeling like Lorraine had sidelined her. Ariel thought he was funny because he was the first to bring it up himself. Edwin didn't know what he could do if her jealousy was burning her from the inside out. Ariel wondered if he was soliciting her attention more than Theo. Nevertheless, Edwin thinks she should be able to handle everything, both his demand for attention and her love. Ariel said to call her big sister. After that, 5 years flew by. While preparing for Theo's 7th birthday banquet, new news reached the Emperor's ears. The report said that the Marquise was pregnant, that she might be carrying a son under her heart. So 6-year-old Lorraine, who, had been neglected by love all along, was abused. The Emperor didn't know what it would be like if the child heard Ariel scolding. He knew she would react this way, so he kept this fact from her until today. The Emperor said it was time and asked his wife for permission to take care of Reina. Ariel has to think of herself first, because she's not allowed to be nervous. His Highness of the First Principal, happy birthday. Dad asked Theo if he liked the presents. He was overjoyed. The prince liked everything very much. Ariel had something important completely slipped her mind because of her sweet son. She didn't realize where that child was. He was definitely supposed to be here. Ariel told her husband that she could see Lauren. He was only a year younger than Theo, but so small. The Marquis was as much a parent as the Emperor, and Edwin didn't understand how a child could be treated like that. The husband asked Ariel to wait for him. The Emperor would like to thank everyone who came to celebrate the prince's birthday. This banquet isn't just open to the prince, but also for all the glittering guests, so Edwin hopes they all have a fun time. Lorraine watched it all from the sidelines. The Marquis greeted the Emperor. Edwin congratulated him because he had heard that his wife was pregnant. Perdon was surprised that His Majesty knew as well, and surmised that the rumors had already reached the imperial palace. Edwin added that rumors like wind. The Marquis was only grateful for the consideration shown. In the current situation, the Emperor only cared about one question. After all, he didn't understand how the Marquis planned to settle the issue of an heir. He knows that Perdon has put a lot of work into raising Lorraine as his receiver, but he thinks it would be better if a legitimate son were the heir. And, by happy coincidence, they had already marked the child in the womb as their future successor. The Marquis didn't understand what the Emperor was getting at. Edwin said sharply that he was going to make Lorraine part of the imperial family. The Marquis interrogated him on what he had just said. The Emperor repeated again that he was going to make Lorraine part of the imperial family. The Marquis said Lauren was his son. Perdon didn't understand how he, being a parent, dared ask him to give him his only son. Apparently, the Marquis is really out of his mind if he dares to talk such nonsense, having done such a thing to his own child. Edwin understands his feelings, but needs to look at Lorraine now and think hard. Isn't that why this child looks so skinny and unhappy? As it's hard for the Marquis to be responsible for him. The Marquis justified himself by saying that this child from birth is very picky and does not want to eat a lot of things. The Emperor remarked that apparently he didn't like the cooking at the Marquis' residence, and the imperial palace has an unrivaled head of cuisine and the table is bursting with a variety of dishes. The Marquis was very angry with the Emperor. Theo walked up to Lorraine and asked if he was bored being alone in a place like this. The prince introduced himself. Lorraine didn't know what to answer. Theo knew the boy's name and said it was nice to meet him. Lorraine said he did too. The Emperor asked if those two were pleasing to the eye by being with each other. Edwin said he hasn't been able to sleep well lately, because that child keeps standing in front of his eyes, and he added that the Empress had also given her permission for Lorraine to be admitted under the patronage of the imperial family. Marquis indicated that he needed time to reflect. Edwin asked him if he gave the impression of being an extremely patient man, and he added that he had not asked the Marquis's opinion, because he didn't say he wanted to make him part of the imperial family. A informed him that he was going to make him part of the imperial family. The Emperor ordered him to watch his behavior, and not to be forced to contemplate what he should do at the next dinner party. Besides the fact that today is the birthday of the Emperor's son, Theo, he has some other happy news to share with his guests. Edwin said he had been informed that the Marquis of Perdon was pregnant, and his older brother's legitimate child would soon be born. The guests congratulated him, and the Emperor revealed that he too had a new family member. It is his nephew, the Marquis's ardent favorite, who will become part of the imperial family, and henceforth the Emperor bestows upon him the name Lorraine Arpaci Lavashin. Marquis was very angry that he had even decided on a name. Edwin thanked the Marquis for making such a difficult decision, and added that he would make every effort to raise him in love and care in no way inferior to his tender feelings. The Marquis decided that he would certainly repay such insults. He said that he was very grateful to the Emperor for this favor to his younger brother. Everyone welcomed the moon of the empire. It was Theo's mother. She only glimpsed a glimpse, and Rain was already shrinking into a ball of fear. If a child assesses a mere glance as danger, she is afraid to imagine what she had to go through. She was glad to see him and took his hand. Now they were one family. The emperor remarked that at that time Lorraine was very weak. And even now, when he thinks back to those days, his heart clenches with pain. Fortunately, when she started living with them, his condition improved quickly. Rain added that Theo taught him how to write and helped him get rid of his habit of stammering. The emperor had noticed that Trail had begun studying with Lorraine, but was not as good a student as he was. Back then, they told Rain to call them Mom and Dad. Lorraine added that the two bullied him every day and put on dresses. The emperor said that just at that time they wanted them to have a daughter. And then the day came when Serena was born. If she asked which of the brothers was most excited about her appearance, he wouldn't hesitate to say it was Lorraine. Of course, when they met again, nothing had changed. Before, the kids used to take walks together and enjoy seeing their mom. Serena ran really fast to her mom from tripping, but her mom grabbed her. She asked her son if it was hard for him to look after Serena alone. Lorraine replied that not a bit, because the little sister was so cute he was ready to admire her day in and day out. Mother thought Rain was cute too and was ready to admire from day to day. Ariel called them over because Daddy had promised to keep them company at lunch. The little one was very excited because there would be rice and meat. Those were beautiful and precious days. But the Marquis often visited the imperial palace on the pretext that he wanted to see Lorraine, and each time he tried to find an excuse for the boy to be sent back. The emperor thought that even impudence has its limit, and the Marquis' demands were absurd, so he burned his letter. By the time Serena turned 5, the happy days their family thought would last were shattered in the blink of an eye by a single incident involving the Marquis' rebellion. Serena told her mom that she wanted to see Lorraine's baby brother. Mom said her brother was practicing using magic now, and if they bothered him, he'd be in trouble. The baby was crying, and Mommy saw how cute she was, and then Ariel noticed something. Serena didn't realize what was going on. Strange knives flew at them, but Mom had time to react and use magic to protect her daughter. Attempted assassination attempt. The Empress didn't know what guild he was from, but his choice had fallen to an opponent that was beyond him. Or he's just a fool who doesn't know who the Empress of this country is. But the little girl didn't notice anyone. Ariel noticed that he was hiding like the last coward. She attacks, and he's finished. He came out, and the woman asked who he was. It seemed to her that the bastard had thrown the knives using mana rather than physical strength. But she doesn't feel any magical power emanating from him. And it was unclear what kind of game he was playing. He wields unusual magic. Serena saw Rain's little brother. The boy greeted him and his mom, but Mom yelled for him to stay away. The little girl didn't understand what was going on and called out for her mom. She didn't know if Mom was okay. The man used dark magic, which he used to grab the little girl. Serena ended up in his arms. Ariel was telling him to bring her daughter back immediately, and he asked with a smirk if she still hadn't realized the situation she was in. The stranger warned the Empress that if she made even the slightest mistake, the girl would also die. Ariel asked if the princess was his target, or the entire imperial family. He didn't understand why she thought that. Now is the time to decide on the title of Crown Prince. The Empress assumed that he had been assigned to kill all members of the imperial family, excluding Lorraine. The boy didn't understand what was going on with his mom and his baby sister. The man said that everything was correct, and as an example, the princess would die in the most painful agony. The woman shouted that a mage of his level should know about the dark sorcerer. Therefore, he should move away from her child immediately. He said that being a great archmage, she was of course well aware of that. And as Ariel must know, shadows and curses are the unique abilities of a dark sorcerer. The little girl called out for her mommy. The mage wondered how long it would take for the curse to reach this child's tiny heart. He handed Serena over and told Ariel that she could now watch her daughter die in her arms. Mom asked Serena to wake up. It wasn't too late. Mom ordered Rain to go to his father's house right away. Mom said to make it quick and tell him to make sure Trail and Theo were safe. Lorraine ran. Ariel saw that the mark was still there. She asked Serena to hold out a little longer because her mom would put everything back the way it was. She was making a move. The Marquis rejoiced because his era had begun. He was congratulated, but he said he could be congratulated even after there was not a single person of the imperial family left. The end of the great emperor was soon to come, and the era of their rule came. Marquis didn't realize what was going on. Ariel appeared in front of him. They didn't understand how she had found the mage's trail. She said he knows exactly who she is. Newcomers who know nothing about dark sorcerers would have no way of finding him, but she knows him. He was sent by the magic tower. The man was in shock, because the magical traces had to be sealed. When the Empress saw the seal engraved on his body, there was no doubt in her mind. That's how she was able to track him down. Couldn't turn to the Marquis and yelled at him for not talking about how strong the Empress was. Everyone was only discussing the power of the Empress, but no one was poring over how she was using it, because of course they knew nothing. What she's like when she steps onto the warpath. Marquis thought it was nonsense because the information he was given didn't match reality at all. Everything started to burn. The Empress swept up that they dared to disturb her without even knowing what was involved. They were complete fools. This is the true image of the Empress. Ariel told the mage that if he would lift the curse, she would show mercy one last time. He said it was nonsense and he'd never tell me how to break the curse. The curse wasn't put on the princess to be broken later. It was complete naivete. Then Ariel said he was going to die. The Marquis ordered to stay away because he is the one who will be the next emperor. Ariel asked if he still thought he couldn't become emperor because of his blonde hair. Purdon said he did, because he's as good as Edwin. He looks at people as things, and he doesn't care who might die as long as that death can satisfy his lust for power. Now, because of him, a fatal end awaits the entire Purdon family. Neither his beautiful son, nor his wife, nor anyone at all will make it out of here alive. Marquis began to beg for her to stop, but it was too late. And he blew his own chance. The house was on fire. The Emperor was in complete shock when he saw Ariel. The kids were shocked, too. Trail asked Theo why his little sister's legs looked like that. The Emperor asked Serena to open her eyes and say, "Daddy." Ariel apologized to her daughter, and she was sorry. Because of his squabbles with his brother, the Emperor's dear family suffered. Edwin realized that he should have killed the Marquis sooner. After that incident, he searched the entire empire to find a way to break the curse. However, the existence of dark sorcerers was rare, and few people even knew of their existence. In addition, at some point, a rumor spread throughout the empire at the speed of light that the princess was casting a curse on the entire country. Currently, only the imperial family knows that Serena was cursed, so this must be the work of the then surviving remains of the Marquis henchmen. The Emperor didn't understand how someone dared to talk such nonsense while touching the princess's name. He ordered everyone to be arrested, and he will personally impose severe punishment. The servant said that nevertheless, the nobles feared the damage that the princess's curse might cause, so a petition was presented to the nobles' court to expel the princess from the empire. The Emperor didn't understand who wanted to banish whom now, and apparently he's been too soft a ruler all this time. The servant begged for forgiveness and begged the ruler to temper his anger. Edwin ordered that the words court of nobility should no longer be uttered in front of him. Although his daughter is currently dying, he, the Emperor, and her father, is powerless to do anything about it. Her husband asked Ariel to go get some sleep, but all she said was that the curse couldn't be born like a disease. He tried to calm her down, but Ariel started yelling about how the curse doesn't infect those around her like some kind of infection. Edwin asked her to calm down because he knows it too. Ariel didn't understand how she could calm down. Everyone wanted to kill their baby. Edwin told the Empress that he would settle the matter and not let the little girl die. He promises that he will find a way to dispel the curse, only asking her not to cry. She didn't understand what this child had done so badly. The Empress said she'd rather be cursed instead of Serena. Edwin told his love that she could trust him because he would surely protect her and the children. However, panic in the masses continued to grow, and the negative reaction of the nobility was directed toward the imperial family. And then the Emperor found a letter from his wife, Ariel, in which she wrote that she would definitely return to him. So Ariel, taking Serena with her, disappeared. From that day on, he searched the world for Ariel and Serena. As soon as a rumor reached his ears that similar people had been seen in some place, the Emperor would immediately go there. In time, his impatience turned into a deafening ennui, but he endured these feelings steadfastly, painting in his mind that somewhere the two of them were together, happily living, and their smile firmly stayed on their faces. So it's been 7 years. Even on the day they met, Edwin would also go back again without being able to find them. At that moment, he heard her voice. He ordered the carriage to stop. Hoping what he heard wasn't a hallucination, he ran desperately in the direction where her magic could be felt. The Emperor said it was all his fault, because this wouldn't have happened if he had held them back. But Serena told him that what happened wasn't his fault. Edwin found Ariel's diary in the empty house. To be precise, it was a research report related to the curse. Time was running out like water, and Serena's young body continued to be tormented by the curse, so her mother chose the last possible option. Transfer the curse to your body. The Emperor asked if she was a foolish and thoughtless mother. The baby cried and snuggled up to her daddy. Simply because the curse affected living things, she used her life. Theo said that's why she's their mother, and with her remaining magical power, Ariel turned back time and revived her decomposed body. They thought the little girl didn't know what had happened. Theo apologized for the fact that they had lied to her. Lorraine said they thought she didn't remember anything. Trail asked to believe that her brother's attitude was sincere toward her, and he thinks about her every day, which is what he means. They didn't realize what was wrong with Serena. The little girl admitted that even she didn't know about it. Both my dad and brothers should be sad, but they kept it all to themselves because of her. Serena asked that they not keep anything else from her. They were in agreement and decided that whether it was sadness or pain, they should share everything together, because they're family. Edwin didn't understand why Ariel had to make that choice. It would have been better if he had suffered intolerable pain. Whenever the Emperor thinks of her single-handedly, with an inordinate sense of fear, trying to save their child, Edwin's heart breaks with pain. If the Emperor had given up when he was rejected the first time, perhaps she would be alive now and happy. Even if there are regrets left in his soul, he will not miss the second chance given to him, and protect those Ariel entrusted to him. The maid ran after the princess and told her not to run because it was dangerous for her. But Serena didn't think it was the least bit dangerous. Serena apologized to May. It wasn't dangerous because she is protected by 4 special people. A pope who is the emperor of a great nation with many things to do. He makes sure Serena eats more vegetables. Serena's second busiest, oldest brother is Crown Prince Theo. He makes sure Serena doesn't walk alone because it's dangerous and walks with her. A prominent imperial mage and Serena's second oldest brother, Lorraine. He tells the little girl to ask him any time if she doesn't understand something. And, despite his young age, being the commander of the 1st Night Squad, Serena's third oldest brother, Trail. He thinks Serena is the truest angel and only pays attention to her. These people are a very special family that Serena shares her second life with. The little one asked if they were really serving cakes today and asked what kind. Serena gave her interlocutor a confused look. Theo said he heard they made a brownie with lemon syrup today. Serena begged her brother to come with her sooner rather than later. When they arrived, there was no one there. Theo was angry because they dared to be late for the lunch that Serena was so looking forward to. He just didn't have the words. But Serena said that she wasn't particularly hungry, but Theo said that late is late and there was no need to favor them. He said Serena could eat first, but the little girl said she wanted to eat with them. It was a happy weekday, until one man disappeared. Her father ran and yelled for Serena to wait because Dad was on his way to her and was about to save her. Dad said they were late and apologized to Serena. Trail said she should have sat at the table first, and Rain wondered if she had waited long for them. Theo said that Serena said she was hungry. Serena tried to stop him. Trail said he was just busy preparing the squad for a military expedition. Serena's hungry, and she didn't touch her food, despite feeling hungry. They made the child starve. Serena asked what the military expedition was all about. Trail told him that his squad would have to deal with the bands of brigands that plagued the Empire's border. Serena asked when he'd be back, and her brother said in a month. My brother was very angry because some freaks would make him have to leave the castle for a whole month. Lorraine took stock of the fact that he looked disgusted now. Father's point was that the first squad defending the Empire should become even stronger. Trail was outraged and thought his father had purposely enlarged the string. Lorraine apologized for being late. He tried to get free as fashionably soon as possible, but failed, and asked if she was hungry while feeding the baby. It was delicious. Trail didn't realize if he could handle a whole month without Serena. Dad said that apparently 1 month isn't enough, so he's adding another week. Dad didn't understand what was wrong with Serena because it seemed to him that she was looking for something. And then they realized there were no lemon syrup cakes on the table. Dad said that if it was served right away. The Emperor has ordered all the cakes in the kitchen to be brought here. Now Serena could start with what she wanted to savor. Theo said she might have an upset stomach, so the little one should eat slowly. Rain admired how much his little sister was enjoying herself. The lemon tart that Serena likes so much. It was at that moment that Trail realized how cool his older brother was. At night that day, the protagonist's stomach twisted badly. The baby was crying and telling her daddy that her stomach hurt. The Emperor ordered that a healer be summoned immediately. He decided to go to the infirmary himself. The healer began to greet the son of the Empire. The Emperor ordered the salutations to be left and immediately examined the princess. Edwin didn't realize what was wrong with her. The doctor said the little girl had a cold. At her age, kids get sick a lot. Indigestion is one of the symptoms. He'll give you the cure. The princess has a badly swollen throat, and she should only eat soft foods for a while. The Emperor asked if there were any other cautions, and if it was dangerous, or if it could develop into a serious illness. The healer said that if she took the medicine systematically with meals, she would recover quickly. And even if she refuses to take them, she still has to take the course. The Emperor ordered the healer to prepare the best medicine now. Serena can't stand anything that tastes bitter, so the father took care of his daughter all night long. Serena enjoys spending time with her father, but she doesn't want to take the medication. Dad told the little girl not to take the medicine on an empty stomach. Theo asked if Serena could look at her baby brother and eat another spoonful. It was a very difficult position to be in. Lorraine told Serena that if she ate everything, he would show her magic, and Trail said that Serena was much braver than he was, so she could eat everything. The plate was almost empty, and her father said Serena was doing well. Thanks to the sensitive care of her family, Serena made a full recovery in just 3 days. Although Serena's family regretted that they would no longer have to care for and look after her. But still, they said, they were much happier to see her blazing with health. Serena noticed that she had gotten a little fat. Lorraine said they are in big trouble because the baby is getting more and more beautiful every day. But Serena denied it and said she wasn't beautiful. The Emperor asked what he was hearing, for she was beautiful. Theo savored that his father was absolutely right this time. Trail agreed as well and added that he too had not seen anyone in the Empire who was more beautiful than Serena. After all, she is beautiful in both face and heart. The little girl said she didn't know anything and ran off for a walk. Her father told Trail to go for a walk with her, for he would soon have to go on a military expedition. The guy asked the father if he enjoyed being bullied by his son at that age. Edwin only said that he wouldn't be able to see her for a month, so he shouldn't miss his chance. Trail said they could continue the conversation when he got back. He caught his little sister. While Serena was sick, Trail's departure date approached. Bro asked Serena why she was hanging her nose. Starting tomorrow, Serena won't see Trail for an entire month. Trail wanted Rain to get the video sphere up and running faster. Serena asked her little brother if he would get back in quickly, and worried if someone would hurt him. The lad said of course not, because he was very strong and would come back safe and sound as soon as fashionable. The fact that he responds with tears in his eyes only makes Serena's excitement grow. The prince had to go in order to finalize the last preparations. Trail said more, "Who's who, and he'll be sure to get revenge when he returns." The little girl asked again. Oh, he only said that she mustn't catch a cold again, so the little one should go inside sooner rather than later. Serena said she'd like to take another walk like today when her brother gets back in a month. Trail didn't understand how he could go and leave the little girl here. He didn't want to leave at all, but said they would definitely take a walk. The prince turned to his father and brothers and said they would see who had the last laugh and promised to return soon, and he was able to do it. The man didn't understand why a chill suddenly ran inside. To another, it seemed that this military campaign would not be an easy one. Dad asked Serena why she was sad. The little girl asked her daddy if baby brother Trail was strong. Father interjected. Dad said that although he was very young, he had become a commander stronger than any other knight. Theo comes next after him. Babe asked how old Trail was. Edwin replied that he was 15 and remarked that you couldn't tell by his height. Theo and Lorraine weren't that tall at his age. This may have been the result of Trail's desperation. Theo was telling Trail that it was time for them to finish practicing, but the guy said he could still do it. Theo said he was too young and didn't need to exert himself. Trail was very angry that he wasn't allowed because his body was small. Trail said he should grow up faster like his brothers and get stronger. Then he'll be able to protect Serena and Mom. It felt like it was said only yesterday. Serena asked to talk about the other brothers too. Dad agreed. Theo is now 19 years old. After becoming crown prince, he was in charge of state affairs. He was thinking that he needed to get off work and go out with Serena. His coming-of-age ceremony is about to take place. For Theo, it is both a joyous and sad event. Lorraine, 18. He studies magic with the wizards of the Imperial Palace. He's thinking about what spell to show Serena. Among their family members, only Lorraine has a talent for magic. Sometimes he also helps his father and Theo with their chores. And his little girl loves fruit, more than sweets. The Emperor is picky about food, so it's hard for him to decide what he would like. Their conversation went in the wrong direction. Although walking outdoors is good for her, she feels like she needs to do more active sports. But Serena is still too young to train. Dad thought it would be best to start with exercises to develop fine muscles. Serena was telling Daddy that his eyes were drooping. Edwin told the little girl to go to sleep sooner rather than later. Serena said goodnight to her dad. Everything was ready. Trail thanked Rain, and Rain told him to be careful. Trail pointed out that there's really nothing wrong with being cautious. Theo had made the point that it would be very humiliating if the commander of the Imperial Knights suffered at the hands of a gang of brigands. Prince said that for him, a campaign to eliminate gangs is the same as taking a walk in the garden. Theo added that he would need to check the scratches on Trail's sword. His father said he hoped Trail would return without any dishonorable injuries. Trail asked that his father not say such a thing. Trail told Serena that her baby brother would be back soon. Serena turned her back to her dad. Trail interjected. Baby told her brother to take care of himself and eat well. She wasn't allowed to cry, because if she did, Trail would. The little girl asked him to come back faster. Trail asked if she could look at it. But the little girl was in tears. Trail added that Seren shouldn't forget that she'd promised to walk with him when he returned. And soon, he'll be home again. Serena promised she wouldn't forget. Trail promised he'd come running back so the baby shouldn't cry. Trail kissed his little sister. Everyone was in complete shock. The guy said goodbye, and the entire troop left the Imperial Palace. When you're sad, a sweet treat is the best solution. Serena said she'd love to eat it. Dad asked Serena to eat slowly. He couldn't believe Serena was crying over that lousy Trail. Dad was thinking about how he had to pretend he was going somewhere too. Theo asked if his throat was dry. Dad didn't know what excuse to make. Lorraine said he was fed up just from contemplating Serena eating. Though Trail promised to return safely, Serena wished there was something she could do to help him too. The servants told the princess that if she was overcome with anxiety, she could write a letter, but Serena didn't know if he'd like it. The maid was sure His Highness would be very pleased, and maybe seeing the letter will even bring him back faster. Serena told May that she needed paper and a pen. May was glad to see, then Princess perked up again. This will be Serena's first experience. The father came in and told his daughter that he had heard she was writing a letter to Trail. His father thought Trail was a lousy kid and didn't understand how dare he get a letter from Serena before his father did. The brothers were also angry when they heard who she was writing the letter to. Her father asked if she was doing well. Serena said the letters were scattered in different directions, so it didn't work out so well. Theo thought it was too cute. Dad asked what Serena thought about practicing her letter writing. She interjected, and the brothers now realized what his purpose was. Edwin's point was that if she's having a hard time, she doesn't have to do it. Serena said it's not hard, but her handwriting looks weird, and that's why she's a little embarrassed. The Emperor assured the little girl that what mattered in the letter was the sincerity that lay between the lines. If she had written the letter from the bottom of her heart, he thinks he would have been happy beyond measure. Dad was willing to happily drink even poisoned tea if Serena was the one to flipper it to him. The brothers wanted to tell their father that he had it written all over his face what he was thinking. The protagonist realized that sincerity is important in writing. Serena said that she would try to write a letter containing sincere feelings. Her father asked if that meant he could look forward to her first letter. The brothers just about died of envy. Serena turned to her brothers and asked them if she could write letters to them too. Thinking about what she should write, Serena ended up spending the whole day writing. The little girl finished and was very happy about it. May swept up that the princess had done an excellent job. She hoped that one day she would be able to express her sincere feelings with ease. The maid said that if the mistress was ready, they could go to the addressee. Serena said they were going to her dad's. The little girl came under her father's office. All the guards were doting on the princess. Serena said she was here to see her dad. The man said he would immediately report to His Majesty about the visit. The emperor was shocked to find little Serena waiting for him outside. His gut is scary. The little girl held out the sheet to him. Dad asked if she had come all this way to give him the letter. Serena said she wanted to hand it to him as soon as possible and apologized for the distraction. Dad said there was no need to apologize and he was just getting off. Her father suggested that the little girl not stand here but go inside, have some tea and read the letter. Serena's level of embarrassment immediately rose. The little girl said she would go for a walk in the garden and come back. She told Daddy to be sure to read her letter all alone. Edwin was very curious as to what she had even written in the letter. The letter said she loved her daddy. Her father snapped out of it and ran after her. He grabbed the baby girl and said he had those very feelings for Serena, and he loves her so much that it's impossible to put into words. Dad asked her to keep their conversation a secret from her brothers. Serena agreed to it. After that day, Serena felt warm in her heart, as if she continued to be in her father's arms. The days in the imperial palace flew by at an incredible speed. So it's been a full week since Trail's departure. The maids did not know what to do, for the princess looked more gloomy every day. They asked the little girl where she would like to go for a walk today. The little girl said she wanted to go to the Sun Palace. The protagonist didn't want to think about the fact that the letter hadn't reached its destination. Or maybe Trail is too busy so he doesn't have time to write her back. Serena missed her brother Trail. She heard children's voices. The princess asked May if someone had paid a visit to the palace. The maid announced that Archduke Sparado had arrived at the palace. The princess said she could hear children's voices coming from the other side. May said that apparently the Archduke's children are there and remarked that he has a son and daughter the age of a princess. May asked Serena how about going over there and exchanging greetings with them. Serena didn't know if she could do it. The maid said that of course Serena could, and in fact she should be greeted first. According to the rules, the one with the lower position should say hello first. It was the first time the main character had ever exchanged greetings with someone, and she didn't know what to do. The boy said he thought no one was here, so he behaved somewhat disrespectfully, and he apologizes for the late greeting. The kid greeted the Empire's minor star and said his name was Jay Sparado, and beside him stood Lisa Sparado. Serena realized she needed to introduce herself as well. The little girl barely said she was Serena Ribbon Lavashin. Jay asked leniently because, compared to what he had heard from his father, the fox made a sharp leap forward and ran up to the princess. She asked Her Majesty if she was an angel or a fairy. But Serena doesn't have wings, but still Fox doesn't understand how a person can be so beautiful. The princess tried to say something, but the woman interrupted her. The girl said that the princess's eyes shone like the dew that fell on the green leaves, and her hair must be like the fairy of spring. Otherwise, she doesn't understand how such beauty can even exist. And on top of that, Lisa can even smell the floral scent coming from Serena's body. Jay asked Lisa to stop. The fox didn't understand how she could calm down when being around such indescribable beauty. The girl said the princess was perfect from head to toe. Jay apologized to the princess and added that Lisa wasn't yet good enough at etiquette when dealing with strangers. Serena tried to say something but was very much embarrassed. The fox was very interested in what Her Majesty was saying as well. The princess said it was nice to meet you and ran off. Jay told his sister that she made the princess scared. The fox said she couldn't help it if the princess was that beautiful. The guy said her habit of throwing herself at everything that's beautiful needs to be corrected. Jay had definitely heard she was 12 years old. The Archduke asked the children if they had looked around the palace. It was an insanely beautiful place. The children said that they crossed paths with Her Highness the Princess for a brief moment and also greeted each other. The Archduke marveled. The boy said he heard she was 12 years old, and his dad replied that she must look younger than her peers right now. There are certain circumstances, and Dad would want them to become good friends with the princess. The father is usually indifferent to other people, and Jay wondered why he was acting differently now. The fox was telling Daddy that she liked the princess very much, and added that the princess would be attending Miss Chelly's tea party and she would go there too. Her father had picked up on the fact that the little girl had too much of a soft spot for beautiful people. The fox confirmed this and said that the father was not handsome in the slightest. His body looks intimidating. His father said that even if his looks weren't perfect, it was because of him that works of art like the two of them were born. Lissa said they're mommy's artwork. Her father asked her not to yell because she was getting creepy ugly. Fox said, seeing how petty he was, she realized the difference in his character and the princess's. Contrary to rumors, Her Majesty's princess is not at all what Jane had imagined her to be. She's a member of the imperial family, but it's unclear why all her emotions are clearly written on her face. Serena supposed she was about to burn with shame. The whole thing made her very uncomfortable. However, she should say hello. A princess who is the same inside and out. She was an interesting personage to the Archduke's son as well. Jane was very curious if he would be able to get to know her better the next time they met. The fox didn't understand what they found so funny about the story at all. She took Mother at her word and came here on purpose. But there's not even a princess here. The woman said she knew that the missus had also sent an invitation to that princess. The princess that was subjected to the curse that disappeared suddenly reappeared perfectly healthy, though there are voices saying that the curse has disappeared because of God's love. However, there is a parallel rumor of an empress caught harming others and taking her own life. As a consequence, the curse was dispelled. The fox was angry because they were whispering behind their backs as if the rumor was actually true. They were vile creatures. The princess immediately responded with a refusal. It seemed to the girl that at this tea party, the princess who had suffered so much adversity might find comfort, but apparently she went too far. Others thought Miss Chelly the kindest of kindnesses and could not understand how the princess could refuse such a friendly gesture. They asked Miss not to take her refusal so personally. Chelly said she was fine. One woman said that perhaps the princess just lacks manners because she grew up in a peasant family. The fox tried to keep her cool, and then Chelly said that this all probably meant that the curse was still in her body. The fox couldn't help himself and scattered everything. The fox asked if she had seen the princess. When you don't know anything, one wrong word spoken is enough to lose your head. She asked if the missus was familiar with the postulate of insulting the imperial family, and added that they shouldn't open their jaws unless they have some indisputable facts. Everyone thought those words were impolite. The fox didn't understand why, for she had said what was on her tongue. The fox picked up on the fact that they too were mocking the others relentlessly, and now that they've become the object of judgment, they're not having as much fun anymore. The girl asked not to be invited again. Otherwise, next time it won't be a teacup that's broken. Serena was called in by her father. He wished to speak to her about the letter that had arrived. The little girl thought for a moment and suggested that perhaps Brother Trail had finally sent a reply. Serena was forbidden to run fast. The little girl burst into the room and said that a letter had been reported to her. The girl became very frightened when she saw another person in the room. It was the Archduke. He was surprised to hear Serena call him Dad, and Edwin was telling her to get into the room faster. Serena didn't realize who the uncle was. The Emperor took stock of the fact that she was running here at full speed, and it was possible to walk slowly. The man remarked that his presence seemed to startle the princess a bit. The Archduke turned to the princess and said he was delighted to meet her, and his name is Jan Sperado, and if we go by titles, he is the Archduke of this empire. The little girl said she's Serena Reborn Leveshin. Ian acknowledged that his son had spoken about her and apologized for his young daughter's rude behavior. Serena said you shouldn't, and she, on the contrary, should thank her for showering her with compliments. Jan noticed that even in this situation, she is so kind and generous, and didn't understand what was wrong with his daughter's character. The fox asked her father if he was traveling to meet the princess as well as she was. The Archduke said he was on his way to apologize for her rude behavior, and he also had some other things to discuss with His Majesty. The fox wanted to see the princess too. Her father didn't realize if she thought he was going to the palace to have fun, and she'd have to be at Miss Chelly's tea party in the first place. Lisa said that Mother made a big mistake sending her there. Father said he watches what Fox always says without thinking about what he says. The girl said her father looked like a fish head. That really pissed him off. He interjected, and Lissa said he was a fish head and a good-for-nothing father. Though she is the daughter of an archduke, he doesn't see how she can be loved. The emperor asked Yang if he had told him already. The man asked what exactly it was about. Yesterday, the emperor's daughter told him she didn't need friends because she had him. Yan didn't understand why he didn't have a daughter like that. Serena didn't understand why her dad was acting like this. Ian said, thinking about it that way, his son told him yesterday. He realized that the emperor had called him here just for this. His son told him that he wished to meet the princess in person and apologize, as he still felt out of place after breaking up with the princess in a similar manner. Yang asked what the emperor thought about it. Serena said that on the contrary, the apology should come from her because she shouldn't have run away. Ian said that the princess has a beautiful heart too, and she is quite unlike His Majesty. Edwin added that the conversation had gotten off on the wrong foot. Dad said he called Serena here because a letter came from Trail. He told her to take the letter and go to his place. Serena was very excited about the letter from her baby brother. Serena turned to Archduke Jan and said it was a pleasure to meet him. Jan was honored to see the princess. She's a very revealing person. More accurately, she finally blossomed. However, the emperor heard that a commotion had arisen at Miss Chelly's tea party, to which the princess had been invited. The archduke thought the atmosphere had lightened a bit, but it was still the same. Ian reported that he had personally dealt with it. Edwin said that just because he personally solved everything doesn't mean there aren't problems. Ian added that his son Jay, but the emperor said he was free. He didn't let him finish and chased the archduke away. A lot of snow has fallen. Serena said that when they met her dad, there was so much snow too. She wanted to make a snowman. The princess was told that the emperor was calling her. She asks her father what happened now that she and her brothers are here. Daddy asked her not to be scared too much and to listen. Trail's gone, missing in action. Serena started crying because he promised her he'd come back, and he said he'd come back as soon as possible. Papa told her not to worry because now the knights were looking for him. But Serena was really scared, and she didn't know what to do if her little brother didn't come back. The emperor was telling the little girl that everything would be fine and asking her not to worry. Lorraine turned to Theo and said that there had been a similar situation before. Thinking about it, Theo said that, the same situation happened around this time 3 years ago. 3 years ago, a troop of knights reported Trail missing. Theo was 15 years old at the time, and Lorraine was 14 years old. The emperor asked the knights if they had been unable to find Trail so far. He ordered the search area to be widened because they must find any trace of the prince. A 3-day search operation yielded no results. One night, Theo heard a noise in the kitchen, and I found him there. Trail asked his brother why he was awake at this hour. Trail was 12 years old at the time. Theo didn't understand why he was here. Trail said he arrived at the palace first, taking the shortest route, and didn't understand what the big deal was. After that incident, he appeared several more times, as if out of thin air. So intact and unharmed that Theo even thought his excitement was completely unfounded. Her father assured Serena that it was no big deal because it wasn't anyone else. It was Trail, and he'll go back to them like nothing happened. Just like I always do. Theo asked his father if Serena had fallen asleep. Dad said Serena cried for a very long time and then fell into a dream. The emperor inquired about the status of the search. Trail disappeared near the woods, and he seemed to be moving, covering his own tracks. Edwin asked if he was in one piece, but Lorraine said it was unknown, and added that it was blizzarding now, so it was hard to find any tracks. Theo didn't realize if he was really avoiding meeting people because there was no progress in the search operation either. Theo didn't understand why people were so spoiled inside. The father added that they need to increase the number of search team members. Lorraine told her father to give Trail a good whack when he returned. Theo said he'd give Trail a slap on the wrist with his own hands for daring to make Serena worry. Father himself had made a point of not turning a blind eye to his actions this time. More snow has fallen. Serena didn't realize if everything was okay with Trail. Serena decided that she needed to think positive and only be in a positive frame of mind. May asked Serena what she thought about serving lemon madeleines for tea tonight. Lorraine swept up that even now she was so cute. Serena went out for a walk today. Their sweet little sister is waiting so patiently, but what? Busy Trail is not clear. Rain asked Theo if it was true that N would give Trail a one-on-one slap on the wrist. Theo was only breaking his arms, Rain telling him to breathe. Serena didn't understand why her brother still hadn't returned yet. The place where they had been walking with Trail was completely covered in snow. Serena remembered them walking there together, and Trail asking her if she would walk with him again. Now all she does is cry for her baby brother. 3 days before Trail went missing, Knight asked the commander if he was glad they had finished the mission early, as he had wanted. But there was something wrong with Trail. Trail said he promised to come back sooner than later. He ordered the deputy to lead the troop into the village and wait for him there. The deputy didn't understand why the commander had so abruptly ordered them to leave first. Trail thought he'd killed everyone, but someone did survive. From the dark sorcerers. The deputy couldn't believe the little guy was a dark sorcerer. Trail said that if he didn't return by midnight, they should be the first to advance to the imperial palace. The knight asked the commander to be careful. He may be small, but the deputy is not going to show leniency to the likes of him. Trail said that if anyone survived, he saw no problem in destroying the root of evil once again. This little guy was able to block an attack like that. Trail found it hard to believe that this little guy had combat experience. Trail ignored him because he's just a kid. But if you look at what he can do. Trail asked how many he'd already managed to kill, but he denied it. Trail knew that if he touched that black stuff, he would be eaten. For Trail, it was a familiar trick. If you get in, you're dead. The deputy was telling us to keep moving and turn around. There's no other monsters in the world like those two. Trail said he was tired of playing hide-and-seek, so he had to come out. Trail ordered him to get out of the hole quickly, because he said he had to get back faster. Serena's waiting for him at home. Serena didn't understand why she was in the garden, because she was asleep in her room. In the distance, she saw Trail's little brother. But Serena didn't hear anything. Trail told her not to worry because they would see each other soon. The little girl woke up in a cold sweat. Serena decided that she should go to the garden. Maid didn't understand where the princess was running to. Serena ran across the palace and abruptly burst into the garden. Trail wasn't there. Serena began to cry because Trail told her that he would be back and they would see each other soon. Serena started to fall. The prince asked if Serena had come out to meet her brother. Trail caught the little one. It was the smell of the wind she missed so much. Trail said he was back. Trail didn't understand what was wrong with Serena. The little girl started yelling at him for saying he'd be back as soon as possible, while he himself disappeared and didn't make contact at all. Serena yelled that Trail was bad and she hated him. She asked him if he knew how much she was worried. Trail simply said that was the circumstances. Serena said she didn't know anything and hated him, so she wouldn't go out with him. There was no way Trail wanted this, because that's all he's been waiting for. Trail told Serena that he was very sorry and asked if she could forgive him once. The brother asked the little girl not to cry because she already knows he's an idiot. Serena said that if he did that next time, but Trail said it won't happen again, and at this rate, Serena's gonna catch a cold, so they need to go inside. Serena asked her brother what kind of baby it was. The princess didn't understand why he was bound, but Trail said it wasn't a child, but a dark sorcerer. And he's dangerous, so Serena has to stay close to Lorraine for a while. Serena could not believe that this little child was a dark sorcerer. Trail asked Serena if her father and brothers were angry. His father had picked up on the fact that now Trail had finally decided to sneak in. Edwin told Trail that he missed him. Serena felt like he wanted to bury someone alive in the ground, Dad asked, taking Serena in his arms. Trail thought about just running away. He didn't want to give Serena away. Daddy told the little girl to go to him. Trail was adamantly opposed, and Theo was here. Trail realized that there was no way he should turn back. His older brother couldn't sleep a wink due to worry. He was filled with rage and fatigue. Theo asked Trail if he enjoyed the walk. Trail asked them to stop because he was late because of that bastard. Father asked if this was the very circumstance he was referring to. Lorraine motioned for Serena to look at him and added that she'd better not turn her head in the direction of the adults from now on. Trail asked to be lenient with them. His father said he had listened to all his excuses. He asked Trail not to overplay it, because that pain couldn't compare to the worry of his family and the Order of Knights. Trail said he didn't think things would turn out this way either. The Emperor ordered him to stop ranting. Theo told his father that he felt that one spanking was definitely not enough. They asked Serena how many more times to hit Trail. The little girl said just one more time. Trail asked Theo to wait, but Theo told him to clench his teeth tighter. Age-appropriate strength calculation. Working hard to cultivate a healthy personality in children. Dad picked up on the fact that Trail must have passed out from exhaustion. But Serena herself realized it wasn't much like fainting. It looked strange, but he told his brother it was meant to be. Theo was telling Lorraine that there was something incomprehensible going on his end as well. Lorraine said that at least he was doing better than Theo. Lorraine wondered if Theo had developed senile farsightedness. Rain asked what was making Theo's eyes so bloodshot. Serena asked if it was that weird looking. Theo says no, he just doesn't feel like showing it to anyone else. Lorraine said Serena would live next to her baby brother for the rest of her life. Theo told the little girl that she was always beautiful, and Lorraine added that they needed more practice, and now he would let his hair down. Serena asked where her baby brother, Trail, was, but Lorraine said that little kids need to go to bed already, and if she wanted to grow up big, she needed to get in her crib immediately. Brother Theo told them to lie down first. Serena told Lorraine that she had one favor to ask of him. Lorraine listened to the little girl and agreed. Theo asked the sorcerer if he had come to his senses. He asked the dark sorcerer if he knew where he was now. Theo informed him that his fate would depend on his answer, and if he continues to keep his mouth shut, only death awaits him immediately. Trail apologized to his father. Edwin said everything was fine, and most importantly, he was fine, and added that he was probably very tired so he could go to bed. The prince asked what his father's verdict was on the latest news. He looked as pitiful as possible. Edwin said that Trail will be under house arrest for a while and no objections will be accepted. And if he leaves the room, the line will be extended. Trail promised not to come out even under pain of death. And even if the two sides of the world meet, he won't get out. Suddenly, he saw something in the window and didn't realize what it was. It was magic, and Lorraine and Serena appeared in the window. They said hello to Trail. The prince was very happy to see Serena because she looked like an angel. Trail held out his arms and was glad the little girl missed him and decided to visit him. Serena said she knew what he had done was wrong. The knights of Trail's squad were also very worried about him. Serena asked that he be sure to apologize to them when they met. Lorraine said his Serena was smart. Trail agreed. Serena asked that he not forget about their outing together as well. Trail asked if she was really going to go for a walk with him. Lorraine was telling the little girl that it was time for her to go back and go to bed, because if her father found out about her visit, they would be in trouble. Lorraine asked Serena if she'd forgotten about her promise to sleep with Rain. He was glad to see Trail sitting here locked up. As expected, Lorraine is scarier than all of them put together. Serena must also be aware of the guys he's showing in front of him. Theo asked the sorcerer what his name was and repeated again that if he kept quiet, he would die in a flash. Dad came in and told Theo that he would take care of it from now on. The Emperor asked the child what his name was. The boy replied that he was Ian. Then he asked how old he was, and the sorcerer said he was 13. Edwin asked where the boy came from. He replied that he had escaped from the Demon Tower. The Emperor realized that the remnants were still alive, but he didn't understand why the boy had escaped from the tower. Ian said that if the members of the Demon Tower see someone with the abilities of a dark sorcerer, they drag that person away with them. And Ian wanted to ask for help, so he approached the Night Squad. He had heard that the Demon Tower couldn't disturb this place, and he's fine with even being in the dungeon, and Ian just asks to keep him alive and leave him here. Theo said that if what he said was true, we could look at his memories. He called out to Lorraine. The one immediately teleported away. Rain reiterated that he had already asked to be left out of this. The Emperor said he wanted to know that child's memories and needed Lorraine's help. Lorraine said his father knows full well that he is not as rational a person as he and his brother. And even if the dark sorcerer is a small child, he is still eaten up from within by the desire to kill him. Theo said that they need this kid's abilities to protect Serena. Lorraine didn't understand what good such a boy could be. Father said that perhaps they could find another way to get rid of the curse, different from the path of self-sacrifice that Mother had chosen. Lorraine said this is the last time he helps in this way. He put his hand to his forehead and began to watch. His memories from the past are not pleasant. The prince didn't understand why a 13-year-old boy had such a meager amount of memories. At the age of 5, he was taken to the Demon Tower, and then subjected to bio-experiments and various tortures. After awakening the powers of the dark sorcerer, he, at the tower's behest, destroyed several villages. The emperor asked if he himself had obeyed, but Lorraine said he was forced, and there's a magical seal engraved around his neck that automatically explodes when resisted. Edwin asked what he had nailed Trail from. Hiding in the shadows, he escaped from the tower and looked for someone to help him. So Ian saw Trail during the raid and decided to make contact with him. Subsequent events are known. He lost his senses after a big fight, and he destroyed the seal. That side thinks the baby's dead. Father said that Rain had done a good job, and Lorraine only said that he wouldn't heal him. Theo asked his father if he had made a decision. Edwin ordered him to be moved to a room and began surveillance. Lorraine didn't know what to make of the fact that his Serena was beautiful even in his dreams. The bastards in the demon tower set a similar seal to young children, but he managed to make it all the way there undetected, even though he had a magical seal engraved on him. The nature of his power is distinct. That's the reason he was able to escape without being caught by the avowed surveillance. If you do the research, it all becomes clear. But right now, Lorraine is busy watching her sleeping little sister. Serena was just beautiful. But suddenly, Theo burst into the room. Lorraine asked him if he was in his right mind, because he almost woke Serena up. Lorraine didn't understand what exactly had happened since Theo had even started stuttering. Theo asked, as he reasoned objectively and cold-bloodedly, and asked what would happen if a normal boy met Serena. Rain asked if he was asking because he really didn't know. Rain said he would fall in love with Serena at first sight. Theo said that meant that a similar problem could arise if that sorcerer was protecting Serena. Lorraine didn't realize what was going on, and Theo revealed that his father had assigned that sorcerer as Serena's bodyguard. The emperor was sitting in the room with that boy, a dark sorcerer, the one who made Serena experience the kind of pain that's impossible to forget. The creature that took Edwin away, Ariel. He must disappear from the face of the earth forever, and the emperor thought he should kill him until the moment the most precious thing in life is taken from him again. The boy began to ask for forgiveness and apologize for being the only survivor. Ian started crying and calling for Mom and Dad, saying it was all his fault. The boy saw his father. He would tell his son that everything was fine and he should keep sleeping and stop crying. The emperor realized that he wasn't much different from those bastards either. He turned to Ariel and said that this place where she no longer existed was filled with nothing but lost emotions. After all, that curse had not been fully dispelled. Lorraine was sure that the child had put a curse on his father because he had done that. Theo said he was nearby and didn't see any signs of anything like that. And he added that his father's decision makes perfect sense. Theo remarked that it was getting late and suggested that they continue the conversation tomorrow. Lorraine asked Theo if he was going to sleep here too. He said that there was an outsider in the imperial palace. There was a great responsibility hanging on him as the eldest son, so he should keep an eye on Serena. Lorraine said that nothing much would happen, and even he decided to use something like this as an excuse. Theo told Lorraine to just go to bed. Lorraine thought about using him as a bodyguard for Serena's safety. Ian asked what he wanted to tell him. The prince said that he had destroyed the magical seal that was around his neck, and now he was in the imperial palace, so he should behave appropriately. The gentleman stated that he will now give an update on the daily routine. In the morning, he will practice fencing under the guidance of the third prince, while the rest of the time will be spent mastering academics and etiquette. And at night, he and Lorraine will explore ways to remove the curse. It's all for the sake of the man he'll have to protect in the future. Ian interrogated what he was talking about. Lorraine said that in return for staying here, he would need to be a shield for that child. He has no right of refusal. Ian said he had no intention of refusing and was just curious who the man he would have to protect was. The child he will have to guard is Lorraine's little sister. The only princess of the empire is Serena. And Ian must work herself to the bone to prove herself worthy of being by her side. And he should know that Rain doesn't kill as easily as those assholes. If he suddenly dares to do something ridiculous, he won't die, but he'll lose both arms and live out his life in misery. So from now on, Ian must be a good boy. As soon as Trail's punishment is over, he will immediately begin training, but until then, Ian can build up his strength. A safe place where he wouldn't have to starve or kill anyone. And even if it is used and discarded, it will be done to protect someone. Ian was quite happy with everything. Misunderstanding needed to be trained as he would become Serena's bodyguard in the future. It falls under Trail's responsibility to make him a knight. Trail didn't understand why he had ballast hung around his neck right at the end of his sentence, Lorraine reported that it was an order from his father. Fencing is his specialty, so he must train it diligently. If there are any questions, Ian can come by his lab in the afternoon, and he'll teach him a lesson. Trail apologized for his brother. Trail was telling the little guy that if they both didn't want to die, they should try their best. Trail was telling Ian that he needed to assess his skills first. If he can't keep up, there's no leniency waiting. For starters, running in a circle. The boy was already running his 20th lap. Trail didn't understand why he was so good. From what I saw that day, the fighting styles were strange, starting with a temperament different from other dark sorcerers. With such a fast pace of skill development, he could become a very dangerous person. John asked if there were any other tasks left for him for today. Trail was shocked that he had been ordered to teach swordsmanship to a dark sorcerer for the sake of protecting Serena. Trail didn't understand why on earth he should trust a dark sorcerer and didn't see how he could put his sister under his protection, and decided it would be much better to get rid of him right now. The prince heard his little sister's voice and shouted that he was here. Ian couldn't believe that this man could also have such an expression on his face. Serena was told not to run because if she kept it up, she would fall. Ian remembered that Serena was the one he would be obligated to protect in the future. Ian couldn't figure out if it was true that that girl was a princess. Trail asked if she had come to see her baby brother and if she missed him. The man Ian will have to protect in the future. Serena said she really missed her. The prince said his little sister is the truest angel. Thraley swept up as expected with only one Serena on his side. He doesn't need anyone else, not his father, not his brothers. Serena asked him not to cry. The princess asked her brother to put her down on the ground. She didn't understand why that child was here. Trail informed her that he had been ordered to make him a knight, Serena interjected, and the prince said that the little boy had said he wanted to defend the empire. Ian didn't realize when he said that. The little girl was relieved because she was worried that he would continue to be kept locked up. Trail was very angry. He couldn't believe Serena was worried about such a lowlife. Serena made the point that although training is important, he should remember to eat because the food here is delicious. Jan said that he wouldn't forget to eat. Serena said that if he worked hard, he would become a strong knight like her little brother Trail. Serena wished him luck. Ian was very grateful. Trail said goodbye to his sister and asked her to be healthy and not to run around much and waited to follow up with her. Trail reported that he was in for one hell of a workout from here on out. Serena decided that unlike last time, she did a good job with the greeting now. Mayhem herself remarked that the princess was incomparable. Serena added that she wasn't faltering at all. Serena decided that if she kept practicing like this, she did the right thing in deciding to go to practice. And that kid and his brother seemed to get along well, too. Though the main character was scared when Trail called him a dark sorcerer, but the looks that surrounded that child are much scarier. Until today, he had stood alone against such hate-filled stares. Somehow, his situation is similar to Serena's in some ways. The little girl decided that next time she should try to get close to him and talk to him, and at the same time apologize with a smile on her face. Dad asked what Serena was thinking about so seriously. Serena said as she reflected on a book she had read earlier, In-Depth Fundamentals of Relating to People. The Emperor noticed that the little girl no longer called him Daddy, and asked what about having a tea party if she had time for that, and all her favorite cakes will be there, of course. Serena said she liked that kind of thing and added that she would have a brownie with lemon syrup. After so long, they finally enjoy a tea ceremony together. Edwin realized that apparently his message had reached him belatedly. Archduke John is here. The man reported that he was very pleased to see the two of them together. Ian added that he had gotten permission from Her Highness the Princess. He was taking his children with him today, Sir Jay and Lady Fox. Serena said it was her first time meeting her peers, so she was a little intimidated. I was very grateful that they were the first to go to her. The fox, even after seeing her twice already, still had no limit to her surprise. Jay was grateful that she had shown leniency toward his little sister's tactless behavior. The princess didn't understand why Lady Fox was wearing a mask. Jay embarrassedly said he had his reasons. A few hours before leaving for the imperial palace, Lisa didn't understand why they were leaving only her alone at home, since she was already fully prepared. Her father said he thought that if she went there with her father, which also looks like a fish head, it will damage her dignity. But Lisa still didn't want to stay home and said she would go too and take back what she said about her father being ugly. Her father said it wasn't good to lie, and Lissa didn't understand what a petty man he was. Jan was apologizing for her father's face and extremely cowardly. The fox once again said that she really would be quiet and not cause any trouble. Her father didn't know what to do and said that if she wanted to go so badly, they would do this. The condition was that any word that could fly out of that ignorant mouth and injure the princess had to be blocked. Brother was telling Lisa to be patient for a while. Serena's savvy that they have the same great relationship she has with her brothers. The main character realized that she was probably a little uncomfortable with the mask, and she wondered if there was any good way to get rid of it. Serena asked if she could share a conversation with them. Her father told her to do what she wanted to do. Serena invited the children to see the Imperial Garden. The little girl told them that she really liked the place a lot. Because of such a stupid mistake, they prevented the temperature from spending time with the princess. The Emperor had picked up on the fact that Ian was too often wrong, making excuses for not knowing. Ian asked what, if not moments like this, when else he could tease him. Edwin knew that the Archduke had not come to the Imperial Palace because of his children. Ian admitted it. You said he's here about that kid they grabbed the other day. The ruler suggested moving to another location because there are too many ears here. Serena told Lady Lisa that there was no one here but them, so she could take off her mask. Lisa realized that she couldn't, because if she broke the promise she had made to her father, she would lose. She mentally apologized to the princess because her honor was at stake. Serena said with a smile that it was the princess's orders, because she wants to hear Lady Fox's beautiful voice. The fox couldn't control herself and shouted that she knew nothing and didn't care about any promises. The princess was her savior. The lady said that only she could give such an order, and even if she died on the spot now, it would suit her just fine. The fox told the princess that she liked her very much and wanted to see her very much. Serena and Jay glanced over, and the latter took his hair in his hands. The guy apologized for his momentary tactlessness. Order means obedience. The higher the position, the greater the power contained in the words. After all, the princess is also a member of the imperial family. And Jay doesn't understand what he was hoping for. Serena said she wanted to hear Lady Fox's beautiful voice here. They could totally relax. The princess does not cater to someone to limit her actions, but instead shows concern for those around her. That's the kind of person she is. Jay would really like to get close to her. He apologized to the princess for his fleeting tactlessness, but her ribbon came undone. Sir Jay shone like jewels. Serena said he was handsome. Serena was telling Lady Lisa that she was holding her favorite dessert. The fox, when he heard that the princess has a favorite dish, decided that she should definitely taste it. Serena asked her to eat slowly. Jay told his sister that she should observe the standards of decency. Serena told the lady that if she ate like that, she might get indigestion. Lisa said she had a pretty strong stomach, so she'd be fine. Jane wished he could see her more often, but he decided it would be too burdensome for the princess. The Archduke said that this was undoubtedly so, and there was no one here to stop them. However, it is not clear to him why he restored the Empress's body to its original state. The dying testament clearly states that the body should be cremated, and the Empress was the first to break her promise, that it's coming back. The Emperor said he thought it was best to close the subject, and he wanted to know how Consort Jan's sortie had gone. The man said that according to his wife, she was unable to face the landscape she wished to see. But that child's words were true. The woman said hello to him. One of the magic tower researchers was captured. He begged to just be killed. The woman said no way because she had already spoken. She told him not to be sly and disappoint her. As it is, she's barely keeping herself from making a mistake that ends in her death. The Emperor asked what she had been able to find out. Behind it all was a magical tower. Ian asked His Majesty to voice the truth about their hidden relationship with the magic tower. Since the Archduke's wife is under the direct authority of the imperial family, even he was not privy to the details of the case. The Emperor swept up that he knew she was from the north and had appeared in the Eastern Empire before the Northeast War. Ian said yes, and at that time, very few wizards were coming to the Eastern Empire. Plus, she was born in the magic tower itself. Ian was constantly voicing his displeasure to Ariel at the time. Her Majesty had appeared in the Eastern Empire right before the war, so he thought she might be a spy for the enemy. Thanks to the efforts made, only Ian and his wife know about her past. However, it's impossible to give a logical explanation for the magical tower being possessed by Her Majesty the Empress just because she was born there. Although place of birth and having strong magical abilities has a direct correlation to it. But among other things, she was the next lord of the magic tower. This surprised Ian, but now it made sense to him why the magic tower behaved this way. The two of them are truly made in heaven, a union of cheating spouses. Tempest asked if he was taking note that his wife was also involved. Yang asked that his vassals not be entwined here, and he added that a subordinate always does what he is ordered to do from above. The Archduke wondered to the Emperor what he was now going to do with the magic tower. Edwin said he had to chase these freaks to the very end. They are not needed for the future of the Empire. The Archduke reported that John Sparado would carry out the imperial order. The fox said that as long as she is around the princess, then black tea is sweet to her. Serena felt a great sense of relief. Ian asked for what reason Her Majesty had given up the future lord's seat to the magic tower. He saw that Lissa had taken off her mask after all. The Emperor interrogated if he was talking about the reason. The Archduke said that the seat of the Lord of the Magic Tower is the most important wish of any wizard. Edwin remembered Ariel telling him that if someone dreamed of getting this place, then they had a problem with their head. The Emperor himself was surprised at her words. Ariel said that she didn't know what the world outside the imperial palace was like for their beautiful crown prince, but outside, the same piece of bread or flour is extremely small. But that's exactly the kind her heart craves. After all, that's what the girl she saw for the first time in her life had given her. She remembered how natural and radiant her smile had been when she shared it with her. At that time, the Empress was exhausted because of the tower. But thanks to this child, the world looks different. To others, it may seem like something insignificant and funny, but to her this cause is extremely important. Ariel asked the ruler if he wanted to bet her that one day there would come a day when she could give up everything for one trivial reason. Edwin said he's the crown prince and he doesn't know the word defeat, and she also wants to make a wager with him. It's stupid. Ariel told him it was all because he hadn't found his soulmate yet, and she's sure he will, when he meets the one who will steal his heart. Serena called out to her dad. She told Edwin that he would be willing to put everything on the line for her. Ian, though he knew there would be no leniency for him, but it felt like he was dying on the spot. He couldn't feel his arms or legs, but nevertheless the food here is delicious. And then Serena walked up to him. He was very surprised and said hello. Serena asked how he was doing here. Ian said very well and inquired what the princess had come here for. Serena placed the briefcase in front of him. Ian wondered what it was. The girl immediately said it wasn't some weird concoction, just a dessert. The little girl told him that if you eat a sweet when it's hard, you get strength. So she offers to cheer him up. The princess said there wasn't any special meaning here, just that it was the only thing she could do for him, and she really wished he would accept her dessert. The boy did not realize whether he had the right to accept such a favor, and then he decided to give, tripped, and started falling right on top of the princess. Ian immediately started apologizing and asking if she was okay. He said he had made a huge mistake and was apologizing. Serena asked if he was okay. The guy asks the princess if she's bruised anywhere. He didn't realize at first what she meant. Serena said she had a strong body, so he might not worry. Serena said that much more importantly, he was probably hurt, so it was worth getting a doctor. Jan said it was fine and she could ignore it. The cake fell to the floor. Serena was upset, but Ian said it was no big deal because he could eat it that way too. Serena told him to wait because you can't eat something like that. It's okay because Jan is used to eating food that has fallen to the ground. It was delicious. The princess felt that this sort of thing was not something she should be used to. Serena said not to eat anything that fell on the ground from today. The mistress took this cake away and said it was not to be eaten and added that she would bring a more delicious dessert. She promised to come back tomorrow and said goodbye. JN was surprised from the get-go that they would be able to see each other again, and then he realized that he didn't even realize what he was hoping for. Theo was very angry. He didn't understand how he dared to drop the food his little sister had brought. He continues to be nervous about him. Serena decided it would be okay to take those cookies to him tomorrow. The father didn't understand who the little girl was talking about. She said it was about Jana, because the dessert she brought today went down, so it turned out to be a not-so-pretty situation. Trail didn't understand why she'd brought dessert to the lousy guy. He was all alone, so she's worried about him, but he's an outsider. she knows absolutely nothing about, and for some reason she's worried. It seemed to her that Ian's life had not been as easy as hers, Serena said, as she saw Ian trying his best and she wanted to do something for him. But Trail told her to stay away from him because he could handle his own business. Serena didn't understand why Trail was acting like this, and she wants to help him somehow too, like dads and brothers do. She didn't understand why she wasn't allowed. She called Trail too selfish. He's a butt in every barrel and he has no idea what caring is, and informed him that she would never speak to him again. Trail asked Serena not to run away and leave her baby brother behind. Theo was sure that the creep had definitely bewitched Serena with a curse. Lorraine agreed with that too. Dad wasn't happy either, but he just watched the whole thing in silence. Serena asked May if she thought she had been too harsh on Trail, but the maid didn't think so. She supposed His Highness was a little jealous because she was a little too precious to him, but Serena didn't understand why he would be jealous. The maid told me that people are sometimes hurt by the fact that they have to share their loved ones with others. The more lonely a person is, the more frustrated they become, when the one he cares for cares more about others. Now Serena understood Trail's true feelings. Trail didn't realize what he had done wrong. Trail thought she was counting on him to be the first to go apologize, but he decided not to. Someone knocked and Trail let him in, but he didn't want to see anyone himself right now. But then he heard from a servant that he should then tell the princess to go back to her chambers. The prince was immediately excited when he saw Serena. The little girl asked her brother to accept dessert from her. He asked what it was, and Serena informed him that it was a reconciliation gift. Trail was surprised from the fact that his little sister was giving it to him. Serena said he was more precious to her than Ian, so she chose her favorite dessert for him. The girl asked her brother not to be jealous. Trail happily said that he too loved the lemon tart and added that she was more precious to him than any dessert in the world. The brother apologized to Serena for pissing her off then. The little girl interjected to see if he would take any more offense. Trail promised he wouldn't. Meanwhile, Lorraine was asking Ian what kind of curse he could cast. The boy said he could cast a curse that would turn to ash. Anything alive it touches. Rain hesitated because this was the first time he had heard of this type of curse. The varieties of curses are as numerous as the varieties of colors in the white light. However, for there to be a curse that could make the targeted object disappear without a trace, Rain wondered to Jan how well he could control the power he had. Ian said that when he wanted to cast a curse, he could do so. From the very first time, he had failed to properly control his power. Lorraine understood him and started to say something to himself. The prince had picked up on the fact that whether a wizard or a dark sorcerer, the measure of power was determined by how much energy they were able to extract. As the vessel grows, the force contained within it naturally increases as well. To put it another way, if the vessel is not perfect, it will be consumed by the force within. Ian was shocked when he found out. Lorraine said he must first learn to control this ability. Rain saw his memories. The prince does not sympathize with him, but feels he should tell him the reason they have to do all this. Although the outer princess looks very small. She's actually the same age as Ian. Her body rotted because of the curse, so time had to be reversed, and she became the little child she is now. And the culprit was a dark sorcerer. Lorraine's little sister was suffering more than anyone here. Mom was by her side the whole time. The baby was hurting and in a lot of pain. Rain personally watched the whole thing and apologized to the little girl. He can't forget for a second what happened that day. Mother turned back time to save little Serena, but the price was too cruel for her. The child had nightmares every night. The pain that should have been gone imprinted itself on the memory. The main character was scared and in a lot of pain. Daddy was there to tell her everything was okay. The emperor asked his daughter not to cry because it was only a dream and the pain had long since receded. Seeing strangers, the princess would immediately hide. Lorraine suggested that Serena go into the garden with him to admire the flowers, but the little girl was reluctant. Their little sister has changed dramatically in a time they know nothing about. Now it has barely begun to blossom again. Now Ian understood why they were looking at him like that, but he didn't understand why the princess was so kind to him. Lorraine only added that that was the kind of person Serena was. She treats everyone equally without discrimination. And now he must realize how difficult the decision to accept him was for them. Therefore, Ian must also try his best, both as a dark sorcerer and as a knight apprentice. Ian was well aware of that himself. In the morning, Serena walked over to Ian's. She greeted the guy and held some sweets in her hands. She said these cookies weren't as pretty as the dessert she brought last time, but they're delicious and the guy's gonna love them. Ian was very grateful. Serena asked if he had any favorite sweets because she could bring anything. Ian, on the other hand, said he was quite satisfied with what he had already been given. He was telling the princess that she didn't need to do it anymore. Serena was very surprised and asked again. The protagonist knew that Ian shouldn't feel guilty. Ian wanted to say something to her, but the little girl interrupted him. Serena suggested he meet here tomorrow at the same time. Ian was shocked. The princess said she was coming again, so he should definitely be here tomorrow. Ian tried to say something, but Serena wouldn't let him. The protagonist has decided that she will not back down. And then again the next day and the following days as well. Serena continued to show up for her meetings with Ian. The guy realized that if he kept taking what she was bringing, it would never end. Jan ventured to ask Serena why she kept doing all this. The guy asked if she knew he was a dark sorcerer, but the little girl knew it, and I knew he was dangerous. Ian said that not too long ago he had lived in a magical tower, and to escape he had abandoned everyone around him and gotten out alone. Before he escaped, he had destroyed the innocent villagers, casting a curse to keep himself alive. Ian had wiped out more than one village and couldn't even count how many people he had killed with those hands. The guy asked how he looked in her eyes now. He asked if she still felt pity for a murderer like him. Jan said not to try to get close to him anymore. The guy decided he had no right to what the princess was presenting him, but he mustn't forget what happened either. If someone gets hurt again because of him, Ian said he doesn't need what the princess gives him. It is burdensome and makes him feel extremely uncomfortable. Serena was very upset because she wanted Jan to be as comfortable here as possible, but she got too caught up in her obsession. The princess started to apologize to Ian and said goodbye. After that meeting, the princess didn't come back the next day or a week later. Theo asked Serena why his little sister looked so dejected. Serena asked her brother if that boy was really killing people. The little girl didn't understand why Ian had said to keep her away from him. Serena assumed she had offended him in some way. Theo asked his sister if the boy had told her that he had killed someone. Serena confirmed that he was killing villagers. The prince told his little sister that what he said was true. However, Yang's family was taken hostage, so he had no choice but to obey unconditionally. The magic tower did this in order to test his abilities. Jan was subjected to all sorts of tortures and experiments and lived in the tower like a slave. Theo asked her sister if her mother had told her about what the magic tower was. The little girl denied it. Her brother said that in that case, he would narrate it because she should now have that kind of information. The magic tower is not part of any country. A bunch of arrogant bastards who think wizards are the center of the world. For the sake of your knowledge, they don't mind killing or experimenting on living beings. For them, wizards from other countries are an obstacle. As the number of talented people increases, their position becomes more precarious. Therefore, among their opponents, they were most unwilling to see their mother, who bore the title of Archmage. Mother had great power. The magic tower had tried everything to get Mother to come to them, but at every attempt they had to face their father's powerful countermeasures. Plus, they were going to prevent the marriage between my father and Mother. Eventually, war broke out, the so-called hostilities between the Empress and the magic tower. The war ended with the victory of the Emperor's family. The defeated decided to use the shadow side to increase their forces, so-called dark sorcerers. They turned children into killers for their own gain. Serena thought back to John. The girl said it was too much, and didn't understand how they could even go to something like that. Theo said, from the magic tower they have no idea what the norms of morality and etiquette are. That boy was able to stay sane in a place like that is a unique case. Serena still thought the whole thing was strange, and didn't understand why he was so stubbornly trying to avoid her. Theo took his little sister's hand. He was telling her that Ian was just afraid of hurting her because he was unable to control his power, so he had no choice but to behave like this. Serena menacingly asked if he knew about her curse. Theo reported that Ian knew about everything, but it's all for her own safety. At the same time, Theo asked Serena if she wanted a brownie. The protagonist was greatly relieved because he didn't say that at all because he hates her. Lissa told her brother that there was no way she could give in to him on this issue, and said she would take away her opportunity to spend happy hours with the princess. She decided to be a righteous thief. Jay told his sister she was crazy, but she was crazy originally too, and he misspoke a bit. The fox was very angry. The servant wondered who would prevail this time. Ian didn't understand why he would ask about something so obvious. Fox said she was going to have a serious talk with the princess, and doesn't understand where her brother's trying to stick his nose in. Madam said, looking at her older brother's outward appearance in comparison. He seems so beautiful and fragile. It feels as if a light breeze is enough to knock it off. Jay said that it is true that many people are at a loss, because he is much prettier than his little sister who looks like a bull from a bullfight, and told her not to worry because her little brother loves her, even with her looks. Fox was getting very angry, but Jay said it was okay. The true beauty of man is not on the outside, but on the inside. She has gaps in her inner beauty as well. She's like a wild beast. There is a theory in the East that if you eat wormwood and garlic for 100 days, you can become human. He asked if she'd like to try it. Lissa didn't understand how he even dared to say such a thing to his only sister. Jay told his father they'd be late at this rate. The Archduke agreed. Lissa got really mad at Jay and told him to go back because she didn't have a word to say. It was very surprising to Jan, because they are siblings but they don't have a single resemblance. One, if he has a problem, deals with it in such a way that a mosquito will not prick his nose. The other one uses her fists first. Lately, the princess has been the reason they've been fighting more often. And Ian supposed it was because they both never had friends. Jay told his father that he too knows that as an older brother he acts too childish with his little sister. And although he felt a little awkward about it, he just wished he could see the princess one more time. Or rather, he, as the princess's loyal subject, wonders if she's doing well. Unheard of. Still, there are times when he looks his age. Ian understands his desire to see the princess perfectly, which brought spring back to that cold imperial palace. Serena was very happy to see Archduke Jan. The little girl asked if he had come to meet his daddy. Ian confirmed this and asked if he could find out where she was going. Serena said she was going to see her brother Rain. The man understood her. Jay apologized. He said that he had actually come to the imperial palace with his father to see her. However, if she already has an appointment, she may not pay attention. Serena said he should have sent her a message ahead of time and arranged a visit. Jay recognized that he had been extremely unwise. He was shown unheard of tactlessness. Jay promised to always send a request to meet with her in writing from now on. But today, I'm a little bummed I didn't get to spend time with her. Dad was shocked at what he was saying. Serena did inform him that she had some free time after all, so she could at least have a cup of tea with him. The guy apologized for disrupting her schedule, but the princess said it was okay and he could follow her, because there's no problem. Ian was in complete shock. Jay thanked the mistress. Jay was telling his father that he needed to go to meet His Majesty as soon as possible, because if he delays because of him, you will not be able to stand before His Majesty with dignity. While Jay is with Her Highness, Ian can slowly deal with the work issues that have arisen, and in no way should he interfere with their happy time with the princess, but really scary at times. Jay asked Serena if it would be okay to email her. Serena admitted that this will be a first for her because she has never sent a letter to anyone else besides her family members. Serena asked to hear her request if she didn't come across as tactless. She asked to become Jay's friend. The boy interjected with surprise. The princess said that if her request was in any way burdensome to him, he could be something of a buddy. Jay asked if he would be Her Majesty's first mate. Jay said with a smile that he was fine with it, and it was the greatest honor of his life to be Her Highness's first friend. Sir asked if it would really be possible to send him letters. Serena was all for it because they are friends after all, and she likes that kind of friendship. Lorraine was very curious as to where his little sister was now. It was reported to the second prince that Her Highness the Princess was a little late to meet him. Rain hoped nothing had happened to her on the way and decided to go check it out himself. A servant reported that the princess had asked me to tell her that she was going to have tea with young Mr. Sperado. They told the prince that if he waited a little while, Her Highness would come soon. Lorraine quickly beamed at her little sister. He asked Jay if he dared to defy the prince. Serena asked Jay what kind of candy he liked, who asked the same question in her direction. Serena said she loved the brownie with lemon syrup, with that nice sourness. Jay was surprised from such coincidences because he too likes this particular dessert. Jay had picked up on the fact that they had similar preferences. Serena was overjoyed because Sir Jay was so glowing with happiness today. The guy talked about how he thinks about Her Highness every day and wants to see her. He wondered if Serena felt something similar too. Serena was ready to answer, but then Lorraine immediately appeared. The little girl was very frightened because he very suddenly appeared out of thin air.